Westmorland.
Westmorland.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Well, I already hit record, so we got that, but I'll snip that. But we're going for real now.
I don't read well.
I'm liking the fact that we didn't even plan to coordinate and we're matching, man, with like the hat and the shirts. We're got the whole borderline cult status, you know.
I mean, life these days is all about
Wild.
branding yourself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, these Gildans are super comfortable though too. They're not super thick, but they're not super light.
Yeah, these are good. Stretchy.
I like them. Yep. But here we are. This is episode 7 of CornStars, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. You need a cage. You need a rack. They've got the goods. Their racks are awesome. Their cages are awesome. We here at the Herpetoculture Network wholeheartedly stand by their products. They are good people. If you need anything from them, cage-wise, rack-wise, hit us up. You can even message me and if you have any questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. So check them out, Facebook and Instagram, blackboxcages.com, and then Silent Hill Reptiles. Of course, we gotta give our shout out to JT and Mindy, who are doing awesome stuff. They just updated their availability page not that long ago. There's some stuff on there that is so tempting right now that I told JT yesterday, I was like, stop posting stuff for sale, dude. Like, I just don't. He didn't even announce some of it, but I checked their for sale page periodically, and there was some stuff on there that was new, and I was like, dude, you're killing me.
It's tough, man. Everything he produces is just great. You know it's healthy. You know it's eating great.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna cultivate that experience we've talked about so many times before. You're gonna have feeding cards and lineage, known heads and stuff. It's good stuff if you're buying from him.
Yeah, definitely, wholeheartedly recommend. But another guy that we fully recommend as well, who's producing awesome stuff, and as our guest this round is Mr. Eric Westmorland of ECW Reptiles. What is up, dude?
Hey,
how you doing, man?
Good.
It's awesome. We're so excited to have you on.
Yeah, man. I've been ever since we got it in the books, you know, and then the last couple of days, I've just been like super pumped for it. So,
well, I hope I don't let you down.
I don't think you will, man.
I don't think so.
There's, the outline that we got together, it's pretty lengthy. I don't know if we'll even get to all of it, but we're going.
Yeah, I know. I make these egregious outlines, and I'm just like, we're going to ask all these questions and be here for 4 hours.
Do we want to season updates real quick?
Yeah, we can do that.
Going on. Mine is pretty short, I guess.
Yeah. So I think since the last episode, the Chinese beauties are out and they're eating, which is great. They were really easy, which was a relief. I'm really getting into an Asian species. I didn't exactly know what to expect, but 2 of them drop fed, 1 of them tease fed, so they're ripping and roaring. I had my second clutch of corns come out, which was JMG Coral Ghost Pos Het Amel to a Ultramel Motley Stripe Tessera Het Anery. And it turns out the mom was Het Stripe. And I got, out of 14 eggs, I got 13 phenotypes. I did get 2 Snow Tesseras. I hatched a really neat Ultramel. Looks like it has the red gene, the red enhancing gene, Tessera stripe, and it almost looks like it has a mask head. I don't know. It looks like a strawberry milkshake. I don't know what's going on completely. It definitely stands out unique next to the others. I got a stripe Ultramel Anery, which was very exciting. That's a combination I really enjoy. So just super exciting clutch. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna sex them. I leave them alone until they shed, and then start going through and find out what they are. I got another clutch due this week and some Leonis, and then I think 2 more clutch corns, and then the pines are going to start rolling out, and gophers are due soon. So anyways, but yeah, Justin, where are you at? I think you had some corns hatching.
Yep. So the Ladies Island clutch of my locality project hatched out. This is a same dam as last year, different sire, but both still from the same property. Got 13 eggs, all 13 hatched. None of them have shed yet. I got 1 holdback in particular for sure. This year, I've got. I mean, not compared to Eric there, but like for me, this is the most I've ever produced this year, and I cannot hold on to a lot of stuff. Like I do not have the ability to hold on to everything I'd want to hold on to, because if that was the case, I'd probably hold on to everything for a minimum of like a year.
Yeah.
So these, I mean, I have one holdback in particular, that one that you said looks like the boogeyman, the Mexican.
It's the kukui.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's the kukui, yeah. It's got that long blotch and the little hood and has the little eyes.
Well, as soon as I saw the neck bands,
Yeah.
the neck saddles were connected and stuff, I was like, all right, I'll hold on to that one.
Yeah, it's like 10% of the snake is one blotch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was another one that kind of looks similar, but I don't know the sexes on any of them yet. Like I said, I'm not planning on holding on to a lot of them. I think I'll hold on to probably a pair. I still have 2.2 from last year. One of those might go to someone who was looking to get their kid their first snake, and so I said, if you guys want a corn, let me know. I'll give you one.
Awesome.
And that is, I think, the one that I sent her pictures, because it was either that, the 5-gene demon you sent me, or that little horrible ultramel stripe that I wish would just go to hell because it's just demonic.
No, that female's awesome.
She is awesome. I was like, okay, you're pretty, but and I told my buddy who was like the mediator between this whole thing, I was like, she's on the table, but I will say, if it's a kid, she's gonna get away from her, because she just jumps out of the tub like
that is a particularly
teleports.
Wiggly animal. Yeah.
So I was like, it's probably not ideal, but I think it sounds like the Ladies Island one is the one she wants. So
Nice.
we'll roll with that. But
And what a gorgeous first animal to have too. A
yeah,
natural classic type, just beautiful
took
locality.
a picture to send to him, and I was like, man, that thing is looking good, because I had the flash and stuff. I was like, oh, if I want to part with it, but I will. I need to. It's just I'm at that point where I have so much stuff that I would, if I could hold on to it, I
Yeah.
would. But there's some things where it's like I have to really decide what's non-essential personnel and what isn't, and it's hard, man. It's so hard. So
That's
those
the
hatched,
dilemma.
that's the problem. It's like I'm at a point where I do need to like cut back on some things, but it's like
Yeah.
everything I have is pretty choice in terms of like why I have it. Like there's a reason I got it, and there's a reason you sent it to me. Like there's things that you sent, it's just, it's tough. So those hatched, Dion's hatched. Those are already like 5 meals deep on some of them. The Ladies Island to Ghost Tessera clutch, that's due to hatch, I think, this weekend. Hopefully, I pulled them out of the
Nice.
incubator. They're sitting on the shelf with my little camera in front of it, so I can watch them at work.
Oh, that's fun.
And then my blood red pied pair, she's gonna drop literally any day now. She dropped a slug the other day, and now there's only a little bit left. And nice. That thorn scrub pair dropped, so got 5 clutches from that, and then I got the Baird's clutches that are in the works, incubating, and gonna have a lot of babies here soon.
It's a lot, man. Yeah, you got a lot working.
Not nearly as many as Eric, though. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago I messaged you because you were just posting clutch after clutch after clutch. I was like, dude, how many of those things are you freaking cranking out on an annual basis? I think you said something along the lines of like 300.
I'm sitting with 906 eggs right now.
Oh,
Oh man. That's a number. That is a number of animals.
And I'm actually behind.
Yeah.
it's a low year.
We'll get into that. Yeah, I see that's on your question. Yeah, I'm having a hell of a year.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Why don't you tell us, who you are and kind of where you got started with reptiles?
Yeah, Eric Westmorland, ECW Reptiles. Been liking reptiles since birth.
Yeah.
I was when you guys asked the questions, I started thinking about that stuff, and I was like, I don't know who got it for me, but when I was a tiny kid, I got one of those golden book, little golden book, and it was all dinosaurs. And it was dinosaurs that got me started, I think, like everybody. And then right away, it's like, well, I can't touch a dinosaur, so it's the next best thing. And then it was garter snakes, salamanders, toads, and frogs in the trailer park I lived in. You'd find them all over the place, and then it just took off from there. I can't remember a time I wasn't involved in reptiles and stuff. And then I started laughing to myself. Actually, the first thing I ever kept, my dad got me a caiman. Back in the day, all the pet stores just had caimans and alligators and stuff that. And that was, I'm like, wow, you know what? That was the first reptile I ever had, was a caiman. And of course, it didn't live much past a month. I don't think. I don't remember.
Swinging for the fences on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started at the top. Absolutely.
Sometimes that works for people. You start at the top and you work your way down. So you start out with king cobras and caimans, and then you slowly work your way down to balls and kings and corns and stuff like that. You don't want to go too quickly.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, I mean, ever since I was born with that gene, I guess. It's funny, and that just followed me through all the way up to now. I was like everyone else. I wasn't allowed to really keep anything without legs, I should say.
Yeah.
That's why I tell all my customers now, or my little kids and stuff. I was like, get something with legs. That'll get you into the door at least most of the time with mom and dad.
Yeah. Do you remember along that journey what the first species was you bred?
That would have been later in life. That would have been 1991 or 2, and it was king snakes, Cal Kings.
Nice.
Yep.
That's fun.
Wasn't I went to, let's see, like I said, I was just always into reptiles and stuff. Was going to bass fish for a living at one point, high school, a little bit after high school, and that's kind of fell to the wayside and stuff. Then I went to the military. When I was in the military, I was the snake guy. So I was down in Fort Polk, Louisiana. Whenever anyone wouldn't find a snake anywhere, it's like, find Derek, get Westmorland, he'll tell you what it is. So we did a lot of that. Got a funny story there too. We was out in the field one time, and this kid, forget his name, I can't remember, but he'll forever be known as Fang now. So I seen him picking something up off the ground, so I went over there. I was like, "What you got?" He's like, "I got this snake." I looked at it and I'm like, "Dude, you should put that snake down." Like, why? What is it? And I was like, at the time, I really couldn't tell what it was, but I knew it was venomous. I couldn't tell if it was a copperhead or moccasin or a timber rattlesnake at first. Ended up being a pygmy rattlesnake.
Oh no!
We know that because he got nailed. And it was
Nice.
funny because he held on to this thing for like 20 minutes. Just, doing all the goofy, oh, I'm looking at your sneaky snake, doing all this stuff. And he went to put that thing down, and it crawled out of his hand, turned around, and got one fang right into like this little piece of the finger right there. And instantly shot up out of there. Oh, yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me in the ID groups how many people are holding the snake. It doesn't even matter if it's venomous or not. And they're like, "What species is this?" It's like,
yeah, I love it. It's
why
great.
the hell are you touching it? Like,
They'll send a picture of their kid death gripping into Rhodia, and they're just they're like 8-year-old, and you're like, do you know
What
how
species
close
is
that
it?
was to
Yeah.
being a venomous animal?
right? Just goofy. I see it all the time in the South Carolina ID group, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What are you doing? Like, even as a kid, knowing, like, my parents knowing that I was into snakes, they were like, if you don't know what it is, don't touch it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I even told my kids that when we were growing up, we'd go to areas where Massasaugas are at or timbers are at and stuff. And I was like, just check with me first. You see a snake, just yell out snake, and we'll check it out, and then we'll, whatever. But anyways, I got out of the military, and then that's actually moved back in with my mom for a few months. And then she was okay with keeping snakes for some reason to that point. And then I met my wife, and she actually got me my first reptile, and I think it was just an anole she brought home from Texas, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like back in those days too, it was you know how everyone is, get this, get that, get that. Ooh, need that. And I ended up I had an anole, a house gecko, I think a normal ball python. Then we had everyone's got to get a Burmese python. Had that guy.
Yeah, that was the timeline. Yeah.
Then started getting into king snakes and stuff like that. And like I said, that was the first stuff we bred. And that was probably in 91, 92, that area. And just took off from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was it in that kind of 91, 92 when you're breeding the king snakes? Is that where you got the colubrid bug?
That started. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of actually more after. I bred from 91 till probably 02, 03. And then I tell her when I took about a 10-year break and had human kids, produced a bunch of human kids, and that kind of took precedence. And then I lost a job too, and then you freak out when that happens. So
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Sell everything off. Which I look back now, that was probably the worst thing I could have ever done in my life. I had tons and tons of stuff, but you get scared and sell everything off.
Sure, and you got a family, and you're wanting to
Right.
take care of them.
Yep.
Right. So then got back into it again to 2012. Yeah, about 2012. I missed that whole ball python thing, which is
The
probably a good
craze.
thing.
Yeah.
I was that was the time section. I was out of it.
Yeah,
And really didn't pay attention. So it's probably a good thing I didn't, Otherwise, I'd probably be with all the rest of those guys, which that's not a bad thing. I actually have, seriously, I think 6 ball pythons just to make blue-eyed Lucies, and that's it.
those blue-eyed
I'd
Lucies.
call it a wave, but it's more like a tsunami. Like
Yeah.
the ball python wave.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yep.
but it took this hobby and made it something that it definitely wasn't before.
Absolutely. That's what I tell everyone, too. Everyone always comes down hard on the ball python breeders, and I'm like,
Yeah,
look, we all like snakes.
Yeah.
We all like reptiles. It don't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But
Tiger Woods, love him or hate him, made everybody love golf.
absolutely. Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Ball pythons are a very interesting species, and
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot people do with them. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It made this huge difference. Companies coming up that develop new products that we use today, thermostats, racks, stuff like that.
Yep. All
I
of
mean, it's a lot of that technology is because of the necessity seen in that huge ball python industry, really.
it. Right.
Yeah.
And actually, let's see, 90, I had ball pythons, and me and a handful of guys up here were breeding ball pythons just to have captive bred ball pythons.
Mhm.
Everything was wild caught coming into the pet stores and stuff, and just covered in ticks and thin as a rail and everything else and stuff. So we were doing that. And I remember getting some animals in that I was on the phone with Tracy and Bob Barker talking over, and they didn't know what it was, but it looked like on the top of it, someone took an eraser. So it had like pied markers only on the dorsal going down. And then, like I said, I sold all that stuff off.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is sort of the one thing that does amaze me when it comes to balls and even corns and really anything else that has a ton of morphs is just the fact that it's how it started from normals and just over time in a very short span of time in the grand scheme of like evolution in time and things like that. Like the fact that we've gone from in 30 years from what we had to where we are now, and that there's no signs of it stopping. It's mind blowing. Like it really is just unbelievable.
Yeah, especially corn snakes. What is that? Mid 70s, people breeding them, starting to get more into the hobby. I think I don't remember the exact year, but I think it was in the late 70s when albino started popping out in the inneries.
60s.
Was it 60s? Wow.
Yeah, somebody just posted a picture. It was the original picture of Mitchell's first batch of albinos from 1962. That was on that Old School Herpers site. Someone posted that.
Oh, wow.
That was really cool. Yeah.
That's something else. That yeah, and it's people are still making world firsts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like every year you hear about somebody that's got either a new gene or they've kind of dissected a gene and found that it had multiple parts to it, or look, it's a world first, this combination, and now we're in the 6-7 gene mutations where it's still visible, just doesn't look like a gummy worm.
Right.
It's amazing. So, if you were looking at your collection, what all's in it, and if you want to take some slow time and talk about the specific species of Pitiovis that you're working with, that's fine too.
Okay.
Or Bairds.
I love my pits, man. I always
Yeah.
have. In fact, when I got back into it, I was thinking about just doing pits.
Yeah.
I always had this perfect business name. I was like, Perfectly Pits. It'd be freaking cool,
That's awesome.
But yeah. So pits, I've got San Diego's. I got to step back here. I wanted to get bull snakes, but I'm in Illinois and I'm real close to Iowa. in both states, I need permits to have them because they're native.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, I've had permits for hognose snakes. I need whatever's native. I need a permit for, which brings up another story I'll try to get to in a little bit. But so I was like, I'm going to veer away from that, but I still want pits. So I went with San Diego Gophers first. We got those in. Absolutely loved them.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, love them, and I'm going to start working. That's going to kind of be my morph project with those guys. And then, of course, I mean, you get one pit and you need more.
You have to have all of them. That's how it started with me. I got a couple, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to have the entire genus.
I don't know if I'll get there, but yeah, I'm starting to knock them down now.
Yeah.
Can't remember what I got after that, but I've got San Diego's. I got line pines.
Yeah, Lineaticalis.
Yep, got those. Those are I like them, but
yeah, it's been on my wish list.
They're their own little. It's like
they're tough to find, and I've heard they're an absolute handful.
Those are the most. I call them big wusses.
Yeah,
because they're 8 foot long.
Yeah,
but they will disappear in a heartbeat. And then if you corner them, then it's all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And they just flip and flop and everything. I like them, but a special person needs those.
Yeah, they're kind of a set it and forget it. And
yeah,
right.
Sounds like the Pituova's equivalent of the Gonyosoma.
Oh, yep. Yep. Had one of those at one time too. But
nice.
With those, I have found when I get in to clean them or do whatever, don't make eye contact with them.
Really?
Catch them. I don't know. I stumbled onto that. I was like, don't face them. Just kind of get them in your peripheral and do whatever, and you're fine.
Really?
Yeah, they're not liking you, and they're going to sit there and they'll hiss up, but they don't. Yeah. As soon as you turn and look at them, then they're on. So, so I don't know.
Interesting.
But besides, yeah. Besides those, then what else do I got? I got Jan eyes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the best species of snake on the planet.
Yeah, I love them.
They're great.
I got a story there too. I got my originals from Andy Reeves. He works at the Omaha Zoo. I traded him some cock's eye.
Oh.
So I had the original pair. I had two. About 2 years in, my female got loose.
Oh man,
gone. She somehow made it out of my snake room and was gone. So I was like, all right. Finally broke down, told the wife. She's like, well, we got to get another one. I'm telling.
That's not the response I would have gotten.
Oh no, we're good. We're good. My wife's all in. But what the hell happened? I got another one, another female, and I want to say 2 weeks in, that one escaped.
Oh no.
And was gone. If I remember right. So then I had to, break it to her again, except I think I waited a year. Meanwhile, the whole time my original male is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And they grow so fast.
Oh yeah, and he's been ready to go. So it broke down, and then she's like, all right, one more time with trying to get another pair going. So she ends up contacting, I forget his name, but Minneapolis. Anyways, unbeknownst to me, she's doing that. I'm contacting my original guy. So he sends me another female. She orders 2 more from this guy up in Minnesota. So now I got 4.
Nice.
Yes. And when the time comes, I can offer unrelated pairs, completely unrelated. Awesome. Yeah. So then besides the Janai, I still have Great Basin. Got 1 pair of that. The cool ones, I guess. I got the Santa Cruz.
The Pomilis?
Yes. Those are weird snakes too.
You're like the only person that has those that I've ever heard having a pair.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about them always forever. Actually, the guy that I got my line pines off of Chad Fowkes.
Okay.
and he was up at Sewerfest in Wisconsin. And the time that he sold me those, he was getting some Santa Cruzes in. And that was the first time I'd ever seen them. The guy came, dropped them off. Well, then 2 years ago at Tinley, it was on Sunday, we were making our final rounds through Tinley, running around there, checking on stuff. And one of the vendors said, hey, he knew I was looking for some gopher snakes. I was actually looking for some Cape gopher snakes, which I have too, finally.
So do I.
Yeah.
That's another one we'll talk later because that's
okay.
They're a thorn in my side right now.
But he's like, what is that guy? Steven France. He's like, hey, I got a guy. He's got a cooler under this table. He's got some gopher snakes that he's, looking to sell and stuff like that. So he come over and lo and behold, I was like, here's these Santa Cruz. I'm like, oh, like crap, man. You gotta be kidding me. I've already spent my budget for Tinley, but all right, let's go ahead.
That's badass.
I got those in. Weird snakes.
Are they? Yeah, I know they're tiny.
I was going to say, being an island insular subspecies, I'd imagine they're considerably smaller than a lot of other pits.
Oh yeah. Just posted a picture. I took them out in the yard. I took one of the line pines and one of those and put them together, just for size comparison. And
I saw that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For years, I thought the Cape Bajas, the vertebralis, were the smallest, and then this year, I heard about the Pomelis. I was like, wait, they're only 3 foot. The males weigh like 28 inches. I was like, no.
I went ahead and threw mine together. They're together right now. My male went off food. I was like, all right,
he's ready.
You want to go off food? You can go ahead and hang out with her for a while.
Yeah, if that happens, we're going to have to. Are they really?
Oh, that's what the first thing that Steve told me. He goes, you ever had garter snakes? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, they act just like a garter snake.
No way.
You get them out and they're like, just flipping and flopping and trying to go that way all the ways, and it takes a long time for them to calm down.
Because they're not a huge distance away from anectons, right?
In fact, they look a lot like them.
Like a tiny little anectons.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
But let's see. Yeah, the Cape Gophers.
Which are like amazing. I've got them, and there's some of my favorites. They're really neat.
Is that the vertebralis?
Yeah, vertebralis.
Yeah. Okay.
Cape Baja gopher.
I'm not super hip to pits. I have my Jani now as of last week, thanks to Chris. I have a Southern, and that's it. Like I have my. I would like to get Northerns eventually, and I would like to get another Southern for my girl eventually, but it's definitely not high on the priority list because space is constantly an issue. So
they eat up a lot of space, and a lot of rats.
Eat up a lot of food.
They eat up a lot of food.
I've fed this Jani like 2 or 3 times already since I've had it. It's like I feed her and I go in the next day and the lump is gone. Like,
and they squirt poop.
I'm just like, what? I gave her like a decent sized fuzzy that first meal, and it was gone within like 2 days. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
and it was live. It wasn't even cut or anything. I was like, what the hell? So I don't know.
How big are your Bajas at this point?
I've got one adult female.
Okay.
And then I got one, a 2001 hatchling from last year.
Okay.
And then I had another female that she croaked off on me somehow, some reason. I have no clue.
That species is notorious.
Yes. I've heard that. Yeah. Yep. It was a funny story there too. That was a couple years back. The same year I got the Santa Cruz. I knew going in I was looking for some capes at Tinley, which hit and miss. Well, Zirkle said they had a lone female. So as soon as we got in the door on Friday night, it was like flew down the Zirkles, picked up that chick real quick.
That's awesome.
Then started walking around and stuff. Well, then on Saturday we were running through the show. We ran into some friends and had to show them what we got and whatnot. And I said, yeah, I was looking for another cape to go with this girl. And he's like, oh, it was over there by the books. They had the book vendor there. Had some snakes off to the side. And he had a bunch of San Diegos stacked up. And that's what I thought was in that entire stack. So I didn't even look down through the whole thing. He's like, yeah. There's a Cape gopher over there in that stack. So I'm like, oh, sorry. Took off on him. It's like, he knows what's going on. So I got over there and it was already gone. It just sold like 10 minutes before I got there. Well, lo and behold, I found out who bought it was Jeremy Turgan.
Okay.
Brassman, yeah. So I messaged him right away. I was like, "Hey, man, you got my snake." He's like, "What?" I was like, told him the whole story. So he's
I already paid for it, and they gave it to you by accident. I need it back.
But so then, anyway, yeah, and that was man, that was like an 8-month. Every morning, waking up, hitting Morph Market, King of Snake, and Fauna Classifieds. Okay, nothing's there.
The morning
Yeah.
rounds.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's you got to be careful with Pitchophis because there's only a couple of what I would consider trusting sellers and breeders
Right.
out there. You want to try to get it from the person who produced it, and that's a tough market to be in because a lot of them get wholesaled.
Right.
And it is what it is. I understand breeders wholesaling their animals. That's okay. But it kind of messes up the market as far as trying to get them from somebody that you can trust.
Right.
And to each their own, do your due diligence with quarantine and stuff like that. If you get an animal from somebody you might not know or not the breeder, but we all got to go through that regardless.
Oh yeah. Yep. So then, anyways, I got home and it was like the hunt was on for another male. And my buddy Kenny Evans posts. They went to a show in Oklahoma or something like that, and he shows this picture of this cape, and I'm like, "Is that vertebralis?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Is it for sale?" He's like, "Yeah." I don't know who produced it, but he had it. He sold it to a girl down there, and she was kind of giving it back to him to rehome. So I'm like, "What do you want for it?" He's like, "Well, what do you got?" So I ended up trading, I think, a scaleless Sarah for it. I was like, "Take it."
Yeah. That's such a it's such a weird species because they for a long time nobody wanted them, and then like people started getting more into this like kind of locality feel and very like kind of odd oddities within the normal species that we know, and that animal they kind of just went by the wayside. Now everybody talks about them, and it's like, man, I got my pair from Thomas Davis. They're 4 years old this year. And have not. I cooled them. I did everything I've ever read about them. They're not breeding. I keep trying. I don't know. I've got to work through that. I've got to try to read some more on them. They definitely breed older. They grow slow as rocks, man.
Right.
Because you got to do small meals. You can't oversaturate their food with water. They're known for getting regurg issues, and once they do, they're gone. They'll desiccate. They don't drink water that often. It's a desert species. So there's a lot of little tricks and stuff that you read about them, but nobody talks about breeding them.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they're a later in the year species to breed. A lot of that desert stuff you find, subox and some of that stuff breed in June and July. I wish there was a little bit more out there to read on them, but
probably because it's the rainy season down there and stuff.
Yeah.
The desert, ain't it? Yeah.
That's even here in West Texas, it like just started raining. The mountains just soaked the last couple of weeks, and then I was there for half a week or a week not too long ago, and it was dry as bone. It was ridiculous. That probably, you're right, might be it. And I wish it rained here so I could open a window and stick them together.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So enough Pitchophis talk because we gotta get on the corners. But what is your what's the corn collection look like?
Well, at what point did you get into corns and decide to pursue those to the amount that you have been?
When I came back into it after that 10-year span or whatnot, I decided, I was like, all right, I want to breed some snakes again. I always had during that 10-year off time we always had some snakes. I had some king. I think I had a pair of pits, a pair of kings, and a pair of corns that we just hung on to. Didn't breed them or nothing. But when I decided to get back into it, I actually sat down. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do some corn snakes for sure. They're popular. I like them. But I, being in the hobby already, I went straight to Ian's vivarium, went through all the morphs, and I was like, you know what? I like that. I like that. I like that. And that. And I kept it. Like 5 different morphs. And I was like, I'm going to work with that first instead of running out and grabbing just whatever I could.
Yeah.
And got into it. So that was 2012 probably. Started amassing the collection then.
The herd.
Yeah.
Does it mean you're breeding full time?
Yes, first year.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I got to the point I could pay for health insurance. So I was like, let's do it.
There we go. Yeah.
that's
actually, I mean, I have Obamacare, and that's a pretty fair measuring stick. It's like, if you can afford that,
Yeah.
because I don't know, mine ain't cheap. I don't know about anybody else's.
No, it ain't cheap. And that's a whole
like,
different story.
We can, if it's like, as soon as I can cross that threshold, like, there ain't any other bill aside from my mortgage that I got to worry about. Because if I can afford that, then we're good.
I worked at I worked at FedEx unloading trailers and stuff. And it's like I told them guys out there, it's like, I'm working this job for insurance, but I need insurance because I work this job.
Yeah.
And I was always busted up, man. I don't know how many times I broke stuff. But 2012, that's when we started the corns up. And those original morphs, I picked, I liked caramel. It's still, for the most part, same thing. I love caramel. I love strawberry, cinder, Sunkist. Got to have Sunkist in there.
Sunkist is it's a great gene, and it's such a good multiplier.
Right.
Honey, man. I'm a honey guy. That's my jam is honeys.
I equivalate Sunkist almost like the clown gene with ball python. You get that, it just
does things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that it does different things with different morphs too.
Right.
You can make shatters with cinder, and it's just Sunkist is good.
Yep.
So as far though as in terms of like with the amount of animals you produce, how do you go about choosing what you're going to pair in a given year? And like
that's
I mean, when you have that many, like the logistics behind that is just, it's freaking mind blowing. Like how do you navigate that year to year?
That starts right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even I use up a whole notebook for the pairings and whatnot, and I keep track of everything in there, and that whole notebook just stays together. Then now I'm going through there and putting sticky notes on it. All right, keep 1.2 from this, maybe keep 2.2 out of this one here. Look for this on this clutch, and setting myself up for the next on what I'm going for on down the line. And I've only got, I want to say, my entire collection, I've only got 200 snakes total.
Oh, wow.
Probably 115 are corns. And then everything else is whatever. I think I counted up 22 or 23 different species / subspecies that I'm working with all together.
Yeah, because it's like every week he's posting like 3 more clutches, and I'm like, mother of God, where does it end? He's like, how does he do it? Like, he must have like an entire room that's just a giant incubator.
I do. That's how I incubate too. Yeah, I know that's one of your questions on there. It's all the room that bit me in the butt this year, though. I got 2 8x8 rooms in the back of my garage. I made one years ago that started it, and I had to add on, put another one on there, and there's a door between them. And I use them both right now. The one I use is a cold room to brewmate everything. Yeah. I just pack everything in there and shut that door, and then keep the other room warm. And I keep that room, generally, it's always between 77 and 84, and that'll fluctuate up through the day. And I got 2 space heaters in there and an air conditioner, and they run constantly back and forth. I always keep the one on, backing the other one up all the time. I won't ever, I
never risk it. Yeah.
Horror stories there. And yeah. And just, I do it that way. Well, this year, we had basically a normal spring. We've been used to the snow melts, and next thing you know, it's 80 degrees outside. And this year, we've had a spring. It started off in the 30s and the 40s, went to the 40s, the 50s, 50s and 60s, and on up the way it's supposed to. Well, I didn't adjust anything, so my cold room, or my room, was down probably about 2 to 4 degrees cooler than normal. So that backed everything up this year. I've usually got 12, 13, 14 clutches hatching by now. And I've got 1 clutch of corn snakes and 1 clutch of house snakes. And that's the only thing I'm running 2 to 3 weeks behind schedule.
Yeah. That lower incubation is going to kind of suck right now, waiting, but it's also going to get bigger babies.
Yeah.
So that's not a. I have not found that bigger babies eat better. Some people think that if you incubate them a little longer, a little cooler, they're definitely bigger.
Right.
But I also think that can lead to drowning in the egg easier. There's a couple in between. I incubate like dead nuts at 81 in an incubator. It's been pretty perfect the last few years. So
yeah, this year usually I average between 80 and 82 most years. This year I'm looking at 77 to 79.
Yeah, so you're like 75 days to hatch, 78
right,
days to
exactly.
hatch.
Yeah, most of my stuff years past it's always been 55 to 65. Now it's 75 to 80.
Yeah,
and this is the first year for that, and I had a weird year too. I had like 7 females this year that just didn't take or reabsorbed.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what? Usually I have like 1, but I had like 7 of them this year. In fact, I had 1 lay today from, and I don't know, because the time comes for them guys to lay. I'll give them a week after that, and it's like I put whatever male, the first male I want back in there with them instantly. And I was like, we can try this again. You're either going to chase the eggs out of her, or you're going to get the job done this time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had one of them today gave me 26 eggs. And
holy cow!
Yeah, and she was the last time she was paired up was 15th of May.
Yeah. 26 eggs. That's a big clutch.
That's big. Yeah. I got a pair of caramel sisters that each one of them give me 30 plus every year.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, that's enough. I got another one. She hasn't laid yet. And I don't know if she had. I posted a picture of that a while back. I was like, if you want to see a fat snake, here, this is fat. Don't get, because I don't know what she did. She didn't. So I've been feeding her, pounding her food and stuff. Like, come on. She didn't produce, but she gained all the weight.
And once they have it, it's almost impossible to get off. It's crazy. The females will hold weight for years.
Yep. We had a friend of mine. We went over their ball python breeders, and they had this snow. And we went over, and I have never seen a corn snake so obese in my life. I kid you not. It was about as big as around with my forearm. And you talk about it. Yeah, it was really bad. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I wouldn't feed that for at least 6 months. At least. I mean, it'll be fine. She's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever did or not, but yeah.
It's just rolling over to get to its
it is. It's like, it could hardly turn around on itself.
That's something else. So with your clutches, what's your kind of average egg number?
You know what? This year I didn't keep track, but usually it's 18. After all, it's all said and done, it's 18.
Yeah.
In fact, when I start tallying stuff up mid-spring and stuff, trying to figure out how many I'm going to have, I always use 18. And then I schedule everybody to double clutch.
Okay.
As well, and then I make that call when the time comes. Not everyone's going to. But,
do you pair up right after laying?
I give them about a week.
About a week.
Yep.
Get 2 small meals in them or something.
Right. Yep. And get a meal in them, 1 or 2, and then we go again. And like I said, it all depends what they look like too. I had about 3 of them this year. I was like, no, you're too little.
Yeah, you get a female that just really blows herself out. Looks like that tube of toothpaste.
Right. Yep.
Now, does how fast they sort of bounce back dictate that? Like, if you have a female that does look rough, but then you give her a few meals and she sort of comes right back to how she was before she.
I've got a few. Yeah, I've got a few like that. I've got a few like that, and I've got a few that it takes them until about October to really look what they're supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of my girls that are tenured breeders, that are in that 6, 7, 8-year-old, they lay their eggs and they just look like a normal snake.
Right.
And then, my first time girls that are right at 3 years old or in the second year laying, and they lay and they just look pitiful. And it's like, got to start hammering them again. And every year
get them worn in.
Better.
That's all.
Yeah. Every year it gets a little better, it seems like. Yeah.
Well, you also did a post the other day talking about a smaller female or a younger female laying, and sort of what's your take on that with smaller girls? Sort of what's the story with that one in particular, at least?
it's what I tell everybody. Biology dictates whether they'll get gravid, and if they become gravid, it'll dictate egg size and clutch size.
Yeah.
I'm notorious. My holdbacks, a lot of times I'll house them together up to 2 years.
Yeah.
And everyone gives me a hard time about that. I'm like,
no,
do it.
I know a couple people that do that, and I actually cohab some of my locality stuff. I've done it with corn stew. If they're maybe separate during feeding, or if they're tongue feeding, I've never had a problem with it.
That's what I always tell everybody too. I was like, you got to watch out when you're feeding.
Yeah.
I've talked with a few guys. I was like, I don't know if a snake would leave a hiding spot. Food and water was given to them every single day.
Yeah.
Out in the wild. You know what I'm saying? If you're to lift that thing up and hand them something, I don't think they'd leave.
Yeah.
But doing that, sometimes it happens. I don't get stuff sexed correctly. And at that 2-year mark, I'm cleaning and feeding and doing whatever, and I'll pick a girl up and it's like,
uh-oh.
Well, hey, what? And then the game's on. It's like, all right, who's the guy? Who's in here? I learned that a long time ago. That's how that all started. But yeah, that girl I posted, that happened this past year. And I posted on that thing that she was 200 grams. She was more like about 160.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she produced 8 eggs.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. And the thing about it, those young girls too, it's like they bounce back 1,000 times faster. I hate to say it, but being the old guy, but younger, faster, better. They just bounce back. They're resilient, and it's like,
and they're a little bit more copacetic to that quicker feeding. You hit them once with a small mouse, 3 days later you can get them again. 3 days later, and by no means I'm not saying power feed your animals, but when a female that's small like that lays, I love rat pups. Just hammer them with rat pups. We got a local guy that's breeding rats now, and I told him, I was like, hey, whenever you have a clutch of pinkies, I'll take the whole clutch, every single one of them. And he brought over 34 pinks one night, and it was right after some females laid. And I just put a little deli cup in each of the females and put 2 or 3 rat pinks in there. And oh my gosh, the especially with the live pinks, I don't know what it is. I don't feed live. To some extent, I can't because I'm allergic to the world.
Oh, okay.
So I'm allergic to mice. I'm allergic to aspen.
He's allergic to everything.
I'm allergic to everything, except for sunshine and happiness. That's why I'm down here in the great city of Corpus Christi, Texas. Beer. I can drink a lot of beer. But yeah, man, the feeding response on those young females, the speed at which they bounce back with those fatty meals, it's like they're just chomping down on hamburgers.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
The first time that I had a young female become gravid too, I was freaking out. I'm like, oh man, what? I remember calling. Someone posted a pic of a wild caught corn. And they were holding it up, and it was so little you could see the eggs. And I mean,
count them.
Yeah. Just boom, boom, boom. Had 6 of them. And they were just holding it up like this. So I contacted him. I was like, how big was that snake? And he's like, this thing was 170 grams, it would be big. Wow. It was tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, all right. And then we let it go. And yeah, lo and behold. Now, I don't go out of my way to breed them that young.
No.
At 2 years, I'll look at them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I've done it in the past. Usually when I'm double clutching my bigger females, that's when I'll think about maybe putting the 2-year-old, in there.
Yeah, that kind of second cycle time. Yeah,
right.
Because
now my males, I'll head on in there.
That's I had a boy that I produced. Went back to his mom this year, and he was 140 grams or something. And I was like, all right, champ, now's your time. Hey, I got 16 eggs out of that clutch.
Yep.
That female in particular. The first time I bred her, which would have been 3 or 4 years ago, I think 3 years ago, she was tiny, like 240 grams, but she was 3 or 4 years old. And I was like, I think this snake is just small. First year, 14 eggs. Next year, 14 eggs. Next year, 14 eggs. This year, 16 eggs. And she's just a small snake. And you could feed her the world. She ain't getting any bigger. And she lays eggs, and you can't tell she laid eggs. I don't know what it is about her, and her name's Carrie, because she'll come flying out of the bin. I open up that tub, and she's a little murder snake.
Just produce mean, angry corns.
I think the babies you have are from her.
That actually would make sense.
She's the het stripe mom. Yeah, she's a psychopath. She is absolutely.
Everybody's got to have that one in their collection too.
Yeah.
Mine's Spaz. His name is Spaz. And he hangs around just because he's good looking. He's an orchid. But oh my God.
Awesome, yeah.
Well, that's the odd thing is like I have those. So I have that amel mask that you sent me, and then I have that het sunkissed guy from Crystal Colubrids, and like they're both just. You can't pick them up without them trying to eat you.
Yeah.
But none of my other corns are really like that. So I'm like, what is going on with you two in particular that isn't happening everywhere else? I'm like, there must just be some sort of like genetic thing there. Or maybe they're just like mentally unstable or like they didn't get enough oxygen out of the egg or something. I don't know. But oh my God.
Yeah. It's this clutch I just hatched is from anyways, I talked about earlier, but the female is like the most placid animal. She's a sweetheart. She's like the one my kid comes and gets out. And, my 5-year-old daughter's like, Daddy, I like this one. Those babies are just, look at you. They just flick their little tongue, and they're like, I'm going to eat every time and be the sweetest snake. And every time Carrie's clutches come out, they're just flip, pow, 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 pow. So, hey, they all eat. They all look great. And usually for the most part, they all calm down. But Carrie didn't. She is the – I have stickers on my tubs that say "Don't open. This one bites," because I may die tomorrow, and I want anybody that goes in there to like be prepared. So like,
I'd like to leave that a surprise for the people. That is like
just little thing that says "Good luck" on the door. Let's play a game.
Just gonna make a video that wearing the jigsaw mask. Like,
but my Everglades rats have a sticker on it, and my male black pine. His name is Vrag, which is Satan in Croatian. I can mess with them. I don't know. Me and him have like an understanding. And then like my Othriophyes have that on their tubs because you just don't know when you're Chinese beauties. You have no idea what you're going to get from them. And they're so fast, you are going to get bit. Yeah. You're going to. It's not you open it with a hook, man. It's like a venomous animal. They are 110% on when they're on, or they're just sitting there like a puppy dog. But Carrie's the only corn snake that has that little tag on her tub.
I will say that is kind of the nice thing about Morelia is like you can pretty much expect anytime you open the tub, you're going to get a shot taken at you. Yep, just that initial like I'm going to eat. Chondros do it. Every carpet I've ever kept pretty much does it. So it's nice to know when to expect it. But then when I have that little amel mask, man, it's like I open the tub and she just like comes shooting out mouth agape, like ready to eat whatever's moving. And I'm like, you're such a pretty snake, and I would love to hold you and play with you, but I really don't want to.
That snake is sun-kissed or het sun-kissed. I know it. I had the pairing information on it. That was from another breeder, but there's got to be sun-kissed in that thing. Its head just looks like a bone. It's bone.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's I weird. Got so Cox sent me that amel buff that Phelan produced, and that's like. I got her for him because Cox told me a while back, like, hey, I want to send you this thing. We're just waiting on weather to be right. So I finally got it. And then when you were like, I got this amel mask, I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to put these together to see what happens.
So you'll have two genes that'll go together well to get first generation expression animals. And then plus you're going to get Ainaries and stripes and motleys and probably a diffused and, a scaleless probably, who knows, because that's how genetics works on these things. They're all het for something.
Do you, Eric, as far as your stuff, do you prefer to keep it to fewer hets, or do you do like the crazy 5 gene things? Because I personally, like, if it's over like 2 hets or 3 hets, I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do with this later down the road because there's too many options. But
and then when the eggs hatch, you're like,
I don't know what I have. Yeah.
See, that's the part that
a year and a half to figure out what it is. You got to hang on to everything. Yeah. I try to keep everything condensed. I mean, maybe a three gene visual to something. I'll do that. You start getting all the hets and there. I try to avoid that. I got to work. I've got one of my oldest snakes now. He's 10, Tommy boy. I keep him around. He's a red factor hypo.
Nice.
Het amel, het anery, het motley, het lavender, het diffused. Yeah, I use him like, okay, we got to check.
He's
I
your
get something-
tester.
Yep. And he's a boy, so it's like,
He's the
get
filter.
on in there. What
Yep.
do we got? And he's a great snake too. That's we were talking about. You, Chris was talking about having a really good snake. Yeah, that Tommy boy, he's awesome. He's like the most handleable.
Yeah.
I take him to shows and stuff. It's like little kids. Here you go.
Yeah. Having those in your collection,
Oh yeah.
it just can ease the mind of a parent. It can get a kid that is maybe on that little verge of, I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and it could teeter that scale that may be a lifelong passion.
I hold back
You just don't know.
even all his normal babies. I hold all those back for little kids at shows and stuff who want to get their first snake, because I know all his kids are that way too.
I usually just hand him a rhino rat. Like, here you go.
Yeah, which is not an animal that looks like it's going to be as calm as it is. That
dude, there's like, I know I say it like every episode of every podcast, but they are just the best. They're better. They're better than Janai. I'm gonna say it.
I don't know, man. Janai are pretty special. But I've heard people talk about Janai, Pitchophis depii Janai, being fussy snakes. And every time I hear that, I'm like, you're keeping them too hot. You're keeping them too hot. I keep mine at 78, and geez, if they breed every year. Okay, so I do the old school method that I read back in Reptiles magazine, I think it was, where you pair them up in December, and you leave them together, and then they produce eggs. And my baby's hatched, oh goodness, a month and a half, 2 months ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they breed during the winter.
But it's still on schedule with like other North American stuff. That's
and because they have a longer gestation, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Next year I'm going to try something different, because my first year I produced 7.2. This year I produced 5.1. So I want to see if brood mating the male gives me a different sex ratio, because I don't know. It would be really neat to figure that out, because man, I'm always male heavy with those things. But God, mine are puppy dogs, and I don't know, Eric. What are yours like?
I haven't produced mine yet because I lost my female and lost my female.
Yeah.
But next year I should be. Oh no, they're good. Yeah, all one of the new ones I picked up at Tinley last year. She's got a little attitude.
But if it's a small snake, that's not.
Yeah, but my big boy, I named him Nacho. He's awesome.
Yeah. Do you
I named mine Jared.
Mine's name is Johnny Depii.
That's sweet.
I love the dumb names on snakes. My kid named snakes. I got like a sunshine and a snow cone. And,
oh yeah. I name all. Everyone always gives me a hard time about that. Every single snake I got has a name.
Yeah.
When it comes to when I go to do what I'm gonna do for pairings, I ain't gotta sit there and write out.
Yeah, it just makes it easier.
A male double head, blah 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 blah. Time is this, because I end up writing this stuff out 30 times before.
Ends up looking like a math equation more than a pairing. Yeah.
And then it still comes down to the day I'm pairing them up. I look at him and it's like, oh dang it, he's blue. I'm jumping the gun, going this guy now. Sorry.
I name all my stuff. I'm the same way. I think that's like I go way back with my breeding, and I just always named my animals. I don't know. It's just
I have from the get go too.
So once an animal, for me, when an animal produces, once that animal produces eggs and the eggs hatch, I put a name on them. So yeah, it's funny. People come in and they'll see like Snow Cone and Pinky and Princess, and then like they're like, "Who's Vrag the Destroyer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, don't open that one. That's not the one for the kids."
Unless your kids like to bleed, in that case, it is very much for the kids.
Yeah. You know, I don't. Yeah, I was about to say I don't know if my Vrag would bite, but nah, he does. I've definitely been bit by him multiple times.
The Janai almost bit Ellie the other day because she was holding it like a freaking Neanderthal. I was like, you can't squeeze him. Like, you gotta like hold him gently, and like he couldn't move because I guess her little kid hands were all like sweaty and gross, and so like it was trying to like back up and couldn't, and I saw it like open its mouth like it was gonna try, and I was like, all right, you can give him back now. Like, she knows how to like. She holds the rhinos all the time. She does it like a pro, and then like I give her the Janai, and she's like, oh, they'll just choke it.
Just absolutely holding it like a rattlesnake. You're trying to not get bit by. I'm just like, I love this snake.
I was like, why are you holding it like that? She's like, what are you talking about?
my kid, I don't know. My kid comes in the room and she has like a snake that's hers, and like she loves it, but for some reason she only wants to hold the king snakes. So like the Alterna, the Leonis, and stuff. And I'm like, really, kid? These cords are really neat. They're really nice. She's like, I don't like that. I don't know. I don't like that one. I don't know. And then she's sitting there holding like a gray bandit, and I'm like, that's a wild caught 2016 male. Please don't drop it. if he's gone, my entire lineage is over. But awesome. Okay, so we were talking about how you incubate, how you keep. Do you have any? What's your breeding tactic? Is there a special sauce to the way you go about your rhythm, or is there kind of straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward. This past year, I did. You were talking about brumating snakes together. Your Depia. I did that with my line pines this year, and I did that with some corns just so I could save some space in my cold room.
Yeah.
So I took a big 41 quart and put. I knew these two girls were going with this guy here, so you guys can just camp out together for the year. I did that, but otherwise, no. I bring them out of brumation. I'm Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I brumate them. People always ask, do you got to brumate them? I was like, no, not really. I guess when it comes down to it, I think they still cycle through the natural light and stuff coming in if there is natural light. Because I've got snakes. I got 2 snake rooms in my garage, and I still got more snakes in the living room, which is a different story. I need a new. It's time for a new facility, but yeah, they're in there, it's all right. But like all the snakes that are in that living room just get natural light, and then even though the furnace is on, it's still fluctuating in temps.
Mm-hmm.
All those snakes still cycle.
Nice.
But yeah, I bring them out usually the Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Start feeding them, getting them up, and then shed and start putting them together. Usually end of April, early May.
Yeah,
and that's it. And then I really don't even witness any locks. I just put them in there, and I'll leave them in there for 2 or 3 days too.
Yeah,
depending on what they are.
I don't know. See, I practically cohab my adult pairs.
Yeah.
Once they're warmed up, I just keep them together until I see that she's holding. And that's like, I know a lot of other people that I've talked to. They're like, yeah, I put them together for a week at a time, and then I separate. And me, I'm just like, just living there until you get the job done, man.
Right.
It's worked so far. Like there are some pairs where it definitely took them longer to make something happen. I have some that like right out the gate they were locked up as soon as I put them in there. So I don't know what it was. It's.
I think I only witnessed really maybe 3 locks this year.
Mm-hmm.
I just put them in there, and I got one boy. He's a horn dog. As soon as he gets in there, you just hear flipping and flopping, and I'm like, all right, I know what's going on there.
Pull that water bowl out because it's going to be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like those. I mean, those pied blood reds that I have, like those are a good example. Like the male was all about it, and he was trying, but for whatever reason, she just wasn't having any of it. So I finally, once they came out of quarantine and stuff, I put them together, and they were together for a while, like a couple weeks, and I didn't see any signs of any locks. Like I could tell that she just wasn't having it. And then one morning, I woke up and checked on everything before I went to work, and they were locked up. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And so
I always tell everybody,
figure out what the deal is.
I always tell everybody he knows better what to do and when to do it than I do.
Yeah, they got to
picking up on the pheromones and whatnot,
Yep, that was how I did it with green trees, man. It was like the male's gonna know when she's good to go.
Yeah,
that's like the only time I know a male is ready to breed is when he's not eating.
Yeah,
and it's like because males always eat. Well, I'm not gonna say they always eat better than females, but I don't know. My males are always just bulletproof. They eat, and then the second one stops, I'm like, I got to put you with a female now.
Yep,
it's time.
This was the first year I had holdbacks from last year. I had like 2 or 3 of them quit eating on me this spring.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't even a year old, and I'm like, whoa, well, I didn't try them.
But social media's got kids doing a lot different things than we ever thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was like, all right, guys, and everybody's back on now. I mean, no problem. They didn't eat for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. So being that it sounds like you kind of do plan your pairings out, do you kind of try to stick to 1 male per female, or do you do multiple females?
I try to get 1 male, no more than 3.
Okay.
I'll push it and do 4 sometimes, but I really like to shoot for that if I need to, you know.
Yeah.
I try to just do 3. I don't want to wear them thin.
Yeah, start getting that actual. Turns out they only have a limited amount of sperm, and if they start spreading it too far, you may start getting lower fertility, and it's actually a thing. Yeah.
Have you had any issues in terms of like compatibility? Because I have. So the same male that I paired with that Ghost Tessera from Chris, I had him in with another locality female who I got. She was brought to me in 2017, so she's plenty old enough. And I had them together again, like pretty much for the last 4 months. And nothing's happened. Haven't seen any action. And so the other day, like just over the weekend, I noticed. I was like, okay. I was like, he's clearly like. It's not that he's not interested because he made quick work of the Ghost Tester girl. And so I pulled him out and I put in that Castagna Motley male from Kasicki because I was like, maybe it's just him. Like maybe I don't know. Have you ever had that happen where females that are plenty old enough?
Not that I've noticed. I've had females take off and not want to do anything. And I don't know, maybe I'm a bad guy. I just leave the guy in there. I was like, well, he's going to chase you down until he gets the job done.
Yeah. That's I kind of have that same tactic. If I have a pair that I definitely want paired up, I literally leave them together.
Right.
With the exception of like king snakes, can't really do that with king snakes.
Scary.
And then Pitchophis, some of the pines, they're such aggressive breeders that you literally will get down a day in and have to separate them because even if they're not breeding, the male will still have the female's head pinned. I had that with northern pines. Are nasty breeders. It's such calm snakes. You get them out, they're these giant lumpy, St. Bernard. I don't know if St. Bernards are nice. I don't know fuck all about dogs, but
that's a good
or St. Bernard's good. I don't know, but they're these big, lumpy, soft, like chill snakes. They're very majestic, and they have this great thing about them. And then you stick the male and the female together, and it's just a snap, and the male's just all over, pins her head against the wall. It's very, very violent,
very angry.
I had a corn like that, a male corn. I've never seen anything. That was one guy I would take out because he was.
Was it a Tessera?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Just wondering. There's just a question.
Nope, wasn't.
But he was super aggressive like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was not. I was like, you're not gonna stay in there overnight. I ain't gonna do it because he was just, my God, he's slamming into her. I've never seen it. Looked more like a king snake or like a pit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it is really frustrating with that locality pair because I was trying to keep that locality. This would be her first year breeding too, but I really do like the Castagna stuff, and so I was like, okay, well maybe this guy will get it done, and I can get some heads and sort of carry that on down the line. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Every time I check on them, they're sort of in separate areas. I don't know, but
just keep them together.
Yeah.
When in doubt, pair them up.
And even then, if they don't go and it ends up being like a next year thing, like that's fine too. It doesn't bother. I'm not gonna have more than enough stuff to keep me busy for the next couple months.
Dude, it's like the meal morum. You know what I mean? I told you just keep them together, keep them together.
I give up on them, dude. I was like, they're not going to go. Like they're supposed to go to Ryan Dumas at some point here soon.
Yeah.
And I sent him. I texted him yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't notice, that's a proven pair now.
Wait till those eggs hatch because that male, it's a wild caught pair, Eric. It's they're Nueces County animals. They were found pretty close to each other. The male was found while I was talking to these guys in a FaceTime. Right, we were FaceTiming.
You were driving, right?
Yeah, I was driving. We FaceTimed. I hung up the phone. I got back on, and I had a male thorn scrub rat snake in my hands, and he's aberrant. He's got a real weird bone pattern to him. So I sent him to Justin, and they bred this year. I want to see what those babies look like because they're weird. I don't know. It's a funky. That could be the next thing. Look at you, Justin, over here with the new morph, right? Let's go.
And of course, I sent a picture to Montrose because Montrose is the big locality guy, and I was like, these things are really just grumpy snakes, but they finally made something happen. It was a small clutch, but big eggs, kind of like what we were talking about yesterday.
Huge eggs, yeah.
Something about those desert species where it's just smaller clutches but massive eggs for their size. Just I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, my Clayburgh bull snakes last year laid 6 eggs that were massive. I mean, bigger than chicken eggs. And then my Kankakee bulls this year, she was a foot smaller than the Clayburgh bull. And I waited till 4 years to breed them. I had some complications with her at 3, but that's something else. She laid 14, barely the size of corn snake eggs, and lost that whole clutch. Turns out, with Pitiophis eggs, you want to give them a lot of air. I didn't know this, and personal mistake, kind of just didn't know. Pitiophis eggs need a lot of air or they'll suffocate. And so I do a sealed system on all of my eggs, and then at 45 days, open up all the holes I have taped off. And so I had all 14 in a much too small egg box, and the entire clutch, 30 days in, just overnight, poof, done. And I mean, I'm talking green, slimy, desiccated looking, and yeah.
See, mine, I've given ventilation on all my boxes from day one to when they hatch. Like, they're tiny, like pinholes. We're talking like the smallest drill bit in the set, like the 8/16th or something ridiculous like that. Like tiny, like one in each corner, and then maybe 1 or 2 in the middle, depending on the size of the box.
Yeah.
And then as they get closer to hatching and stuff, I'll definitely go in there once or twice a week and open it up and give it some more airflow. But I don't know. I'm weird about having them completely closed. I know they're like the oxygen exchange isn't really happening early on anyways, but I don't know. There's just something about that airflow and sort of moving that stagnant air in and out that I'm kind of just weird about.
I always got holes in mine too.
Yeah.
What do you use for medium for incubation?
This year, paper towel.
Really?
My man. I know a lot of people.
Paper towel up real thick so it lays on the bottom. I always used to do that. I'd start getting eggs before I had vermiculite in. So to set them up really quick, I'd do that. Well, this year it started again. I had some eggs come out. I'm like, I don't have any vermiculite. I'm just going to do that and see what happens. And then I used the diffuser panel up on top and then maybe cut some holes so I can put the eggs in there, not rolling around. And this year, just all of it. Paper towel and light diffuser panel. That's it.
I have heard that from like a decent amount of people. They're like, you don't actually really need anything if you're keeping them separated. They have airflow. And
right. I think it's better because you get them eggs up. When I got back in a long time ago, we were sticking them all down the vermiculite or the perlite or whatnot. And then it's like, well, that dries up. And then you go to add water and you get water all over the eggs. So I was like, started getting the light diffuser panel like all the ball python guys do. And I'm like, that works perfect. Get that stuff out. If I need to add water, I can add water whenever I want. And then everything's just evolved from there. And I've used everything. I've used just moss on the bottom with the diffuser panel up on top, perlite, vermiculite, rocks. Rocks.
I've heard of people using gravel, just straight up using gravel.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just
because you get tons of airflow.
Yep.
I mean, in all reality, is using perlite much different than using gravel to some extent, right? Like,
no, it's just a medium to hold the moisture.
Yeah, I mean, it all does the same thing. It's just to get that ambient humidity there, so that they're humid but they're not wet. You know?
We find
Go ahead.
Oh, we find fox snake eggs. We got a neighbor that lives down the street, and he cuts all his grass and sucks it all up and throws it in a big pile. That's where the fox snakes lay their eggs, deep inside that stuff. Yeah. You can go in there every year and just kind of dig around and you'll find them.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's, it's funny. We look at these eggs, especially with these colubrid species, and we think about how delicate they are, and we're so worried about it. Especially, I've been breeding geckos for 20 years. Snakes for just 4 or 5, right? Like, not even that long. And so for me, snake eggs are like this mystical beast, and there are some exceptions. Alterna are a little weird. You need to make sure that the Alterna eggs dry out towards the end of the incubation, or they will drown. Some of the pine species I've heard, you need to kind of make sure they're plump the whole way through. And, there's all these different ideas. But you hear these stories of people like, oh, yeah, I just do some gravel and I just throw it in. And we used to juggle eggs and then throw them in there, and every single one of them would hatch. And it's like, all right.
This year was the first year I've had people tell me also, Matt Most was the one who cued me in. He's like, those eggs can roll over and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna do anything. So I had some poultry eggs this year, and one rolled off the grid, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it there and see what happens. Actually, 2 of them happened. I had a clutch of like 8.
Yeah.
And one roll over here, one roll over there, and I'm like, I had another clutch already, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna see. Let's see what happens. Those were the first 2 eggs that hatched. Those ones that were upside down half the incubation time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
still go about, you know.
I didn't tell anybody this. My incubator's in a different part of the house than my snake room, and so I'm going to the incubator with my. I have some conjuncta Ciudad Insurgences Baja California Kings. They're really cool. They're really uncommon. I'm so excited to get eggs out of them this year. And I got my I have these perfect little egg boxes with the perlite exactly weighed out with the exact amount of water, with the little sphagnum in the corner for when they hatch, and the holes taped up because I know exactly how I'm going to incubate them. And I'm walking to the room, and me and my kid, my kid hangs out with me the whole time, and I trip over the rug, and I just threw them. I just chunked them.
Oh, man.
And I was like,
oh, no.
And you know what? We're about 20 days away from them hatching, and they look perfect. So Here we are, right? So they're probably more resilient than we think. I've lost whole clutches of species like the bull snakes, but that's probably the negligence on something that's so simple, airflow, right? They need to have the airflow.
Yeah,
and I
especially later term. Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I go to these extents to make sure that everything's perfect, and I didn't think about step 1, airflow, step 2, humidity. It's anyways. Yeah,
that's what I always try to shoot for with my egg boxes. I've thought about it. I want it to be as humid as I can get in there, but have that airflow.
Yeah,
the same. That's what when them guys started using the light diffuser panel, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah,
this is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets them up. If I need it even higher, I can stack those things up, do whatever, and you're getting air and moisture all around the whole thing.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, this year I just started putting stuff straight on moss in boxes.
Yeah,
and
yep, I've done that before too.
At $87 a bag of sphagnum moss. Justin, you rich? I like that.
We
got some smaller bricks from Lowe's. That good stuff.
We get a big, huge bag for free every year. My wife works at a pet and garden center.
Oh, nice.
So she's always friends with all the vendors and whatnot that drop stuff out of the store. And we always get one for free every year. But that's starting to need like 2 every year.
Yeah. What's just wrapping up on breeding. What's the brumation temp you're shooting for? You're doing Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day, but what's the temp?
It's anywhere from 45 to like 60. I keep the space heater in that cold, like that cold room. I said I keep that. It's like set at 50.
Okay.
And then
I need a cold room.
Yeah, it works. I love it. It gets stuff out of your hair for a while, and then when they come out,
you actually have winters up there too, which
right.
Difference.
Yeah. What's that like? It's weird. we froze and the state shut down for a week, so I don't even know.
Yeah, everything went to hell.
It was really scary.
I was in Louisiana one time when it got to 17.
Terrifying.
And everyone, it was like, and then one time it snowed and it was a dusting. I mean, you can see the tips of the grass. It was a dusting. And I happened to be in the Army at that time. And
state of emergency.
Oh, yeah. The CQ came over and said, hey, you guys just stay in bed. We're no formation and everything. And everyone's like, yeah, we're going to the bars. Yeah. Head down. There ain't nothing open. I mean, nothing. No.
Everything is closed.
Convenience store getting nothing.
Yep.
I was like, oh, man.
Down here in South Texas, every dude's got his bro dozer diesel jacked up truck, and it snowed or iced for one day, and everybody was like, we cannot go outside for a week. I actually don't know what to do. What do you mean I needed to leave the pipes running? Everything's broken. So our pipes don't go over our houses. They go under our houses. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Y'all probably don't do that because it's cold. But yeah. Anyways, that's besides the point.
Right. No.
What's up, Justin?
I was going to ask if there were any like incomplete dominant morphs that you try to avoid.
I had a buff for a little while, and I decided I don't want to mess with that.
Because like I love tesseras. The mask
I
thing,
love
I'm
tessera.
still trying to like. The mask thing still kind of confuses me because it's like
I don't
get
even
stuff
go
from
there.
Chris, and it's like some of them like clearly they have kind of the mask
Yeah.
look, and then there's some that have like next to none, but it's still like mask with a question mark. And so
Yeah.
it's like I can understand why people would get so frustrated when they don't want those things.
Yeah,
So it's like having as many
that's
animals
crept into
producing
my.
something.
I've got some of that crept in mine,
Yeah.
unbeknownst. And every year I'll look at it and I can look at the face and kind of see it, but I'll flip him over and see where those checkers are. And if it's blowing off the side, then I'll label it as a mask. If it isn't, there you go.
It's easy when if it looks like a diffuse, but it's not a diffuse because it doesn't have the right belly
Right.
or whatever. It's like, okay, well, that's a mask. But then when you have like a mild case of the mask, it's like, oh man, it's kind of like the granite gene in Mex-Mex. Whereas like we know what a granite looks like, we know what an ultra granite looks like, but also if you take an ultra granite and pair it to just a classic, you have granite no matter what through that, but you'll have some that look like classics with
Low expression,
yeah,
kind of
super
thing.
super low expression, and it's frustrating. And I think if you work with diffused, especially if you're working with old school blood red stuff, you are working with mask, right? Like it's inherently going to be in there.
That's where it's crept in. Yeah, that mask all came in with the diffused stuff I've got now.
I don't. Me and Jake were talking about the other day. I think maybe it was somebody else. I don't remember. But we were talking about just how frustrating it's got to be now to where like if you're trying to work with something, but you're trying to like outcross some things, and there's all those hidden hets and like things like that super low expression mask that are just like they pop up, and now it's like, well, shit. Now I'm stuck with this.
Yeah.
This code. I say codom. I mean incomplete dominant, but for the sake of brevity, codom. Just. Like I can understand the frustration with that, but at the same time, like I love Tessera. Like anything in Tessera to me is a notch up from what it is without it. So
I've got Tessera, and I'm actually thinking about weaning off of it. I got an Okati, Extreme Okati was my first one I got, and then I still got a. Actually, I got three. I got a Gold Dust striped Tessera. And then I've got a Cinder Tessera too. But yeah, I've actually been thinking about ditching it. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Oh, I left for a second. Excuse me.
But
you're good.
Yeah, like you were saying with I had a female last year. This is her 5th year breeding, and got a new gene out of her. Didn't know she had. And it was something simple. It was anery. It finally showed up after 5 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's a gamble sometimes.
Oh yeah,
when you have a het in there, and it's like Bruce's like, but if you take a het to a het, you have 25% visuals. It's like, yeah, God don't play that math, man.
I tell everybody too that 25% is each egg. It ain't you're gonna get 25%. Like half. Each egg's got that gamble.
Yeah, it's definitely a gamble. So on that, you were kind of listing off some morphs that you had planned going into this. What would you say are the morphs that you are centralizing your collection around?
Strawberry.
Okay.
Yep. Strawberry, Miami Sunkissed, and Justin was talking about that Castani. Loving it.
Yeah.
Castani is awesome.
Yeah. I saw those I've seen the old German lines and absolutely loved it, and finally got my hands on. They're not German lines, but got my hands on those. Yeah. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Pictures you can't get that male that I have. The pictures that I take of him just do not translate over to what you're actually seeing, and it's so frustrating because he has just this awesome. I don't know how to describe it. It's so interesting, and of course when Kasicki was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell him," I'm like, dude, I'll take him. Like, yeah, it's happening. And so now periodically I do go on Morph Market and look, and it doesn't seem like that's a morph in particular that seems like it's got a whole lot of people doing stuff with it. And I don't know if it was just one of those things where it was like in vogue for a very brief period of time and then everyone kind of just moved away. Because that was something else we were talking about recently. Me and Jake was like, with the Codom stuff, I think that stuff gets a lot more focus because you see the results right away. You're not having to wait every other season or whatever to see these things. But that is a gorgeous snake, and I feel like there's a lot of potential there in terms of like putting that in with some other stuff and seeing what happens. And
yeah, I took
not that none of that hasn't been done already, I'm sure, but just stuff that, it's just one of those kind of like Terrazzo, just doesn't get much attention.
I've got my big girl's a Mandarin, and I went ahead and put just regular Castani. He should be het A-male. We'll find out. That was the first pairing. The second pairing, I was like, when I was messing with those guys, I really liked them, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it was. So I put my second round. Hopefully she's gravid, but I put a Cinder Lava Strawberry to her. I want to see what that strawberry does with Castani.
Yeah.
I mean, because they already got that reddish kind of hue, brown hue going to them anyways. It's just like, that'd be sweet.
But then, strawberry's a neat gene too, which is,
I love
kind of
it.
falls in that hypotype kind
of. Yeah. And not a lot of people work with that one either, and I love it. I got some. Cool. I got some red. I got red factor into it, and that just shoots that red out.
A lot of those JMG coral ghosts and salmon snows, I think.
Yeah.
They call them the super salmon snows, are the strawberry red factor.
Yeah.
And then I guess red factor compounds upon itself.
Yeah.
And then you get literally like this, like just absolutely just bright pink snake, and it's something else. Yeah.
I got two sisters from last year I held back. You might have seen them on somewhere, but they're blood red factor strawberries. And them things are just getting insane.
No, I bet.
I don't know if I've ever seen strawberry with castagna at all. I
don't think I have.
I think there's a lot of stuff that really hasn't been done much with that. Like
everybody jumps on the bandwagon and does whatever's selling, instead of,
which is such a weird thing because you're talking like the difference per snake. I guess if you have a lot, $25 to $40 per animal, but you're not talking about animals that are extremely expensive, right? If you want to sell a corn snake for a lot of money, build a brand, and then people will come to you because they know your name and they want your lineage,
right?
And you've obviously done a good job of that. You're everybody looks at the work you're doing, and it takes tenure, it takes time, it takes knowledge, it takes commitment. It takes a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
We can all go buy palmetto, het palmettos, and produce palmettos next year. We could all do it. Well, maybe not next year, but 2 years, whatever. And yes, those animals might sell, but it's way harder to sell a snake as a random person than it is as somebody who has built a brand. And it's I think the castagna thing, I don't know. God, have people seen mandarins? Right? Like I don't know. I love them. It kind of blows the snow out of the water,
you look like orange sherbet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Push up that orange. It's like, yeah, they're awesome. I absolutely love them. Now, I was gonna say, I mentioned I like Miami lineage stuff, either straight Miamis or Miami Fays. I want to get those into that Castani and stuff too, and all of it. Just
a lot of that work that Walter Smith put in for years.
Yeah, and that's a lot of my base stock is Walter Smith stuff. Yeah, he's really good.
Silent Hill, JT over at Silent Hill. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stuff he's working with, and me and Justin have a slew of that stuff. I actually produced my first snakes from Silent Hill, which were caramel Miamis, and God, they're just they're the best. It's so that gray base color, that soft hue that it has, the enhancement it does to the colors, the cinder Miami stuff where it starts getting that soft pink. It's like a hyper erythrin kind of going on. It's just gives me chills just thinking about it. It's 113 degrees today.
It's just all about the honeys. Honey.
I mean, first off, how many people have seen a natural corn snake, right? Like, God, what a gorgeous animal. This is...
I know a lot of folks don't even know where corn snakes come from. How about that?
Which is funny because it's like 30% of the United States.
Yeah.
It's like the whole right side of the damn thing has them. And then you get the Miami face stuff, and then you get that lineage bred Miami stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All those saturated reds with that gray, and you're talking modern art style, right? Like where you have those grays and then you have those hits of color that just bounce. and then you start adding those morphs in, and you get the caramels that have this soft hue of burnt umber in there, and then boom, you throw in sun-kissed, and now you have this insane just saturation of yellow through the throat and the snake, and yeah, it's hard to beat.
Well, that
hard
and to watch them change too, like that
Yeah.
Honey Motley I have, man, watching her go from that sort of just sand color to now she's starting to get a lot of that yellow creeping in on the head, and it's slowly working its way down. And I remember it was the Daytona before last. I saw the first Honey Motley on one of the tables, and I was like, that is one of the coolest looking things I've seen, because it looks like a green berm, like it looks like a little
yeah.
And so I was like, that's awesome. And then I kind of forgot about him. And then last year when we were at Daytona, I saw some for sale, and I snatched one up immediately. I was like, I'm getting one, and that's just, I cannot wait to pair that with that Honey Tessera male from JT.
Yeah,
that's one pair that I'm super excited about.
It's, man, some of these people that are out there that have gotten to this hierarchy style level of I only breed specific lineage locality animals. Hey, that stuff is great, and it's gorgeous, and it's got its place, and damn, the time you put in to get it there. But holy shit, have you seen this snake? And you
Right.
show them a Miami lineage or a Miami phase honey, and it's like, wait, what? That's it. And we are 14, 16 years in on the lineage of a lot of these animals. There is tons of work to be done. Saturate those yellows. Work with the most yellow animals. Work with the animals with the least amount of yellow. Work with the animals with the most speckling or different saddles, right? Different saddle shapes. It could just go on forever.
Mm-hmm. Have you done anything with any locality stuff? Has there ever been an interest there?
I've got kind of hush hush. I got some Tennessee locale stuff, which I'm not supposed to have, apparently.
You just told 400,000 people.
Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's outcross now, anyways.
Yeah.
But they're different looking too. My original male, he bit the dust. He met his demise with a exhaust fan.
Oof.
He got out, yeah. But I got his kids, and his kids went this year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Some of that Tennessee, Georgia kind of locality stuff, real neat looking. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't post a lot of pictures of them. The two males that I held back, they almost look hypo-ish. But they've got some heads now, because I put him to just a classic. I had just one of the most normal looking classics I could find when the time came.
Nice.
I love just the idea of tying, and I've talked about it before in previous episodes here, but like just tying in locality stuff into some of these, morphs and stuff we've got going on. And, that clutch that's going to hatch next is one of my Ladies Island male, the darker one of the two. He went to that Ghost Tessera, and so I'm super excited to see just that phenotype as a Tessera. And, just, I don't know, there's just something about that sort of taking like something that's fairly far departed genetically and then bringing it back to something that's much more basic and sort of at the core of things. And I don't know, there's something about that I really like. And the fact that so many of the morphs we have came from just locality animals. And seeing,
absolutely.
There's just a fascination there that I can't get over,
Yeah. Look at Southwest Florida. It's like,
yeah.
Every 5 years, something's weird coming out down there somewhere.
Yeah, and these morphs that we're looking at, these morphs we're working with, not everything has been figured out. And
no.
There is still little genetics tied into morphs that we don't even understand.
Yeah.
And we're finally in that golden age of people putting that shit down and writing it down.
Right.
We're getting it into social media. We're getting it into podcasts. We're getting it into YouTube videos to some extent, I'm sure. And it's this hobby is only going to grow. There's only more work to be done. We're not even close to where it could go. With that, is there anything you're trying to get into your collection that you're not working with currently?
No, not right now. I'm kind of at that point trying to figure out focus focusing what I want to shoot for.
Yeah.
On down the line. We were talking about the Miami hunting stuff. I already got the project started now, getting that into scaleless. I did that this year. I should have scaleless honeys this year and scaleless saffrons, but they won't be any Miami lineage yet.
Mm-hmm.
What is a saffron? I actually don't know that.
Saffron is just the honey with amel on top of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just the 3 gene.
Okay.
Now, going back as far as choosing holdbacks, is there a particular thing you look for? Like, do you try to go for like the darkest of the clutch and then the lightest of the clutch and then maybe something in between that stands out? Like, what's sort of the process?
It comes out to what stands out, what's going to play into a future project. Mm-hmm. Like I know in a lot of my notes and stuff, everything this year I'm going to be holding back a lot of strawberries. I'm going to be holding back. I'm working on some Miami orchids.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other cool that peach. I got peach lavender that I put with a Miami Sunkissed this year. So out of that, whatever comes out looking really Miami-ish looking, I'm going to hold those back.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Go that route. It all comes down to what they look like.
Yeah.
It comes down to it.
So with building your collection, do you prefer starting with babies, or do you prefer to go look for something that's of age already?
Well, when I got back into it, I actually I got a lot of my stock from Walter right off the bat.
Nice.
His surplus animals, and then throughout the years, I've always kind of picked up his surplus animals and some others too. I got some from SMR and I can't remember. I have to look back. But now it's holding, doing a lot of hold back, and then if I need something, I might go looking for it.
Yeah, holdbacks are the best.
Oh yeah,
I'm so bad about holdbacks. I'm just going to keep all these. I think last year I hatched like 110 snakes and I held back like 24 or something. Yep. And then throughout the year I start getting rid of them. I send them to Justin. I send them to Jake. I'm like,
that's how it goes. Yeah, that's the way you're supposed. You're right on target. That's how it works.
Only the buddies get the holdbacks. They don't go online. They all go to the buddies.
Well, that's kind of that's the sort of the crossroads I'm at with the locality stuff is like, I have that one from the recent clutch that's got the, the interesting neck thing going on, but then there's really nothing else from that clutch. And I guess that'll change, I'm sure, once they all shed. But like right now, that's kind of the only one that's really like made me stop and go, okay, like you're probably going to stay. The other ones, they all look fairly similar. They don't seem to be as dark as that clutch was last year, but this is also a lighter male that I paired. So the male looks more like the female than the male last year did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess once they shed, I'll have a better idea what's going on. But
yeah, that kind of long blotch animal that you hatched is for sure a holdback. That's got to be.
Yeah.
That could start a whole line of snakes. It's one of those weird things that comes out that's just like, what's this?
Mm-hmm.
And see if that's a reproducible thing, which is just kind of exciting.
Sort of grow upon it.
Especially in a locality, especially in something where you have the wild caught parents, and that's something else. So, Eric, it looks like you vend shows. You do a ton of online. Where do you see yourself with that, and where do you see it going?
I tell you what, online's blessing. It's like, oh my gosh, that just opened up the doors. I've even talked with you. I'll always do shows. I love doing shows.
Yeah,
that's
same.
That's where you meet the people. You get you meet the people, show them what you got, talk with them and whatnot. But online, it's just like insane. Especially the last 2 years with COVID crap. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
My goodness.
One of few industries that was really not all that affected by it and actually saw a gain, I think.
Massive gains. Yeah.
We couldn't. And everybody I talked to was like, I'm out of snakes. Yeah. I'm out of snakes. Yeah. I'm out of snakes. I'm hitting the holdback rack trying to sell. I'm like, all right, here. And it didn't matter what price I put on it either. It's like, man.
Because we saw, I was working at the cigar shop at the time, and we saw, after the first 4 4 months or so when things were really up in the air. Like after that, like it just exploded. Like the industry just grew so much because people were at home. They didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
So they're picking up new hobbies. Same thing with snakes. Like people were just, well, I've always wanted one. I don't have anything to do now. Might as well do it. Now's the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's wild. It's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, back in the day, all we did was shows. I remember, well, first off, you couldn't ship snakes like you can today either. If we wanted to ship snakes, you had to go to the airport, tons and tons of paperwork, crate something up, send it out. It's like just insane. So we used to send stuff to like Cal Zoo and stuff. I'd wholesale a lot of that stuff way back when. But yeah, that was just a pain in the butt.
And how, as far as shows go, do you still? I know some people. It seems like people are fairly split on them as far as like. I like doing them, but I don't do them super often because I don't tend to sell as much. I mean, obviously online is easier because you don't have the, you're not lugging around stuff. You're not lugging around animals. Like I get that. But do you find that you still sell a decent amount of animals at shows when you?
Yeah, we still sell and we still make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have that one show where you get skunked, you bomb. Yeah. And it's just all part of it. In fact, the last show, I didn't have a whole lot to sell. I don't have a lot to sell. I got some surplus animals and I've got some bamboo rats and stuff that are out of the egg and ready to go. As far as surplus from last year, I got like one. So this last show, we were just going really to show. I took that stuff and we ended up doing good,
And do you take any adults with you when you go? Like for some of the morphs that change a lot to sort of.
Yeah, I did. I kind of started doing that this year.
Okay.
Before it was, I just hadn't. It's like I'm taking anywhere from 100 hatchlings with me to a show, so I just don't have the room and stuff then too. But this year, yeah, I really want to start taking a lot of the adults and whatnot. So you got something to show too.
Right, right. Well, especially with stuff like Bairds, like if I ever start vending Daytona or something, I'm definitely taking the adults with me because that's one of those species where it's like if you just look at it as a baby, people are just going to keep on walking. But you have those Loma Altas out, those things people are going to stop.
I just got my Bairds this year.
Did you?
The last Tinley. That's one I won't need a permit for because I really love black rat snakes and would love to go that route too. But
sorry about that.
You're good.
My iPad overheated. It turns out it is that
nice.
Hot. But I got those Bairds from Jason Hood.
Oh yeah,
Loma's het hypo. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I love them.
Yeah,
I got another one to go with those. That was a little girl. She croaked on me too. Got it from I won't say his name, but a bigger breeder. Puts out a lot of stuff. Kind of him and hawed when I got it, but I was like, I'd like to have another female to go with this one. But yeah, I love them.
They're awesome snakes, man. Like all of mine, I think minus that wild caught one that you sent me, Chris, they're all pretty mellow. Like that little wild caught one, he's pretty temperamental in comparison, but
yeah, they can be a little fussy wild caught for sure.
I do notice though, those like if they start sort of regurging, they tend to that seems to be kind of a breaking point for them where it's like if you keep trying to feed them, it only makes it worse. So you got to kind of just completely put them off.
That's what happened with that one that croaked on me.
Yeah. I've had a couple where that happened where it's like they regurged once and at first it was like, oh crap, crypto or something bad. And then it was just like, it happened to another one. I didn't have any other symptoms of like the swelling or anything like that. And it just seems like they just don't handle that well. They don't seem to bounce back from it as well. I haven't had it happen yet to where I can use the Nutrabac that I got to see if that makes any major difference in terms of stopping that from going downhill. But I have noticed that in comparison to other Pantherophis and stuff I've kept, like regurg just really seems to do a number on them, especially when they're young. So I don't know.
That's my pitfall with Baja rats that I've talked about a million times. Yeah. I've gone through thousands of dollars of Baja rat snakes, and they're just not going to be in my super high humid, obviously sun blaring at me right now world where it's a billion degrees and 70% humidity every day minimum. It ain't gonna work. But yeah, those desert species, it's like the vertebralis we were talking about. Once you get a regurg out of those animals, you are
You really got to tiptoe.
Yep.
Like you really got to tiptoe out.
Gotta
on them
worry
at that
about it.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that one that passed on me, that female that passed away. I mean, that same thing. As soon as she regurged once, I was like, oh man, here we go.
Yep. It's almost
right downhill it went.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I've seen crypto. I've seen the effects of crypto. It's not crypto. It is not the same. A snake with crypto will live for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start seeing the diuretic issues. You'll start, or I don't know if diuretics are a word, but diarrhea, the regurges. It'll be weird. They'll completely digest a meal and regurgitate. Once some of these desert species, once it's happened, once whatever it is that clicks, it's like it's immediate regurges. You're talking about a day, less than 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just done, and it's tough, and every collection is different. Every single reptile room is different. Every snake room is different. Every 10-gallon in your living room is different. We all have different collections, and we all need to manage them a little bit differently.
Well, I've figured out over time that if I take them off food for at least a month, and then that first meal they get coming back on is like a day-old pinky. Doesn't matter how big they are. Like they're getting the smallest meal possible, and I usually cut it just to make it a little easier on their system. I don't know if you ever saw that paper that Hurley put out a while back. It's not available anymore, but she talked about cutting mice and corns, like cutting the frozen thawed pinkies down the back, and she saw growth increase in the ones that got the cuts versus the ones that didn't. So I kind of do that now with a lot of my stuff, but especially like regurges, just to make it a little easier on their system for that gut flora to get in there and do its job. It seems like I've had a couple where maybe they regurged when they were young, and then if I did that slow boat of like wait a month, give them something tiny, then wait another 2 weeks, offer them something small again, and slowly sort of build them back up, that seemed to work pretty well. But yeah, if it's one of those things where they regurge and you try to feed them again, the following week or something, it's they're not keeping it down, and then it just gets worse from there. It's like quicksand. The more you fight it, the worse it gets, So
absolutely.
Yeah, I did that with a San Diego a while back too. That was an older snake, but it was a problem feeder from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the issue was, it was like really allergic to the hair.
Possible.
Because I'd feed pinkies, we're good. As soon as I go to do a fuzzy, ate the fuzzy, regurge it up. Well, then you go into the protocol. All right, 2 weeks off, and then I'll put them back on pinkies. So 2 weeks on pinkies again. Next time back to a fuzzy, regurge. So then we got caught into that.
Yeah.
And then I ended up losing that animal too.
Now gestational
cool looking animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the time it's, like I said, you get caught in there, and by the time he's lost too much weight and can't fight no more.
Yeah.
I also wonder too, like with regurg and stuff, if a decent part of that issue is like the damage to the throat just from the acidity and stuff up. Like if they just have this inflammation that just hangs around and it only makes it worse. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever yacked and then drinking or something, like your throat is on fire. Like it doesn't matter what you do. It's like gargling hot asphalt. It just I can't imagine it's a whole lot different for them, especially when you're dealing with like half the body going back up. So I don't know. Like I said, at this point, I just wait a month and then start small and build them back up to where they were.
Go slow with it. Yeah, and that's tough with babies because sometimes going slow with it just don't work. That's rough. So what I was going to ask earlier when we were talking about shows and online sales, is there a particular morph or combination of morphs that you just can't keep in stock? You can't keep them. Snows are awesome, man.
That doesn't surprise me.
Snows.
Snows sell like hotcakes, man. You're not wrong.
Is it the blue-eyed Lucy thing where it's just a white snake and people like snakes?
I don't know. And it's I have 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 female snows every year just to make snows, and it's bread and butter. I mean, it really is. Yeah,
that's awesome. And man, remember the days when snows were $25, $35?
Oh yeah.
And now they're like, I don't know what you sell your snows for, but they're a hell of a lot more than that now.
I topped them off at $100.
Yeah.
And they were gone. And I've seen them on there for 150, 175. And it's like people are buying those too.
Yeah.
At least, last 2 years. It's like, it's insane.
It's funny. You could put a mandarin next to a snow, and the mandarin's, I guess, same amount of genes, right? 2 genes to make that snake.
Right.
And it'll be tougher to sell the mandarin than it will be the snow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I love my snows. I've held back a few snows. I don't actually have an adult female snow or male snow, but I've got male and females that I've held back now. And dude, even my kid, that's like my kid's favorite snake, Princess, little snow tessera. She's just like, I love it, Dad. It's a pink snake. And every time I hatch a snow, she's like, oh, Dad, that's the one. You got to keep those. And I'm like, it's funny. I love ultramel anery. I love ultramel aneries. There's a soft spot for me in those. They still retain a little bit more of the pigment. I don't know. That's a combination.
It seems like it almost like softens things up a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. That's the best way I can describe it. Is like with stuff like the aneries, it just seems to make them more. It just softens up that pattern a little bit. It seems like, and the colors just seem a little more velvety. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly
no, you're right. There's a soft. I mean, just a base stock model ultramel. It's just it is. There's a softness to it. It reduces that palette just enough. It's almost like a hypo type, but that's gone to the extreme of obviously it's AML. Ultramel is a very weird combination of genes. It's also an inconsistent set of genes because if you want the most ultramels you can produce,
also a hybrid.
Yeah, it's technically could potentially be a hybrid. Jury's still out on that. We don't know, but it's probably a hybrid. But to get the most ultramels, you probably want to take an ultramel to an AML, and even then, you're only getting probably 50% ultramels if you're lucky. And that's perfect odds, which, like we said earlier, is we're gambling with every one of these eggs. But yeah, then you start getting het ultramels, which doesn't actually work because you only are either het ultra or het AML.
Right.
And you start breeding that stuff back.
It's either 50% het or whatever you got. 50% het this or this.
It's definitely one of the two, but you don't know which one it is, and there's definitely no way to tell. And yeah, that's there's a little bit of roughness in that. So you said scaleless earlier. We always talk to everybody about scaleless and palmettos.
That's the two. That's like the one question we ask everybody is, what are your thoughts on scaleless?
So where do you sell scaleless and palmettos? Yeah.
Well, the scaleless, when I was one of those when they first came out, that's an abomination. Snakes need scales. And after I, looked at them long enough, I'm like, you cannot deny the color on them things.
They're very pretty.
They're pets.
Especially, I love the aneries too. Like the anery test.
Aneries and caramels are my
those were cool
favorites. And hopefully this year I should have each of those and caramel anery scaleless together. See what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, caramel and anery are weird, but you may get something different in scaleless because remember, scale pigmentation is. So that's you like the scaleless stuff?
I do. I like them for what they are, and they're pets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I'll tell you that I was talking about, kind of alluded to this earlier. The state of Illinois now wants me to have permits for them.
For scaleless?
Because they're emery?
Yes.
Oh.
Now,
they are technically emery hybrids. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crap.
That came out, 2 years ago? Everybody was they knew I was living in Illinois, and they're coming up to Tinley, vendors and whatnot, and they're like, what's the deal with the scaleless stuff? And I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You can have them.
I have some for sale. You want some?
Yeah, I got.
That's what's up.
Tons of scaleless projects started. So no, they sent me the email. Yeah, our state herpetologist wants to make it so you got to have a permit for it because it's technically native. And
the goofiest part of that is like the only reason they're even aware of that is because someone actually knows what's going on with that. Otherwise, they'd be completely clueless, and they'd be whatever. It's just it.
And I'm torn. I would love to be the guy to challenge that.
Yeah, find me an emery eye in.
There you go. See, right off the bat.
First off, like I had to just stop and think about it. Emery eye stop in Texas. I don't think they even make it to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of.
Well, the story goes, this is France, 2005 or 2006.
Yeah.
The story that I've always heard, it's a great, it'd make a great Netflix movie. Was they take over there, they call the Emery Eye, the Great Plains, wheat snakes.
Okay.
And the corn, which we've been doing for years. You make creamsicles, you make root beers, and forever they thought Emery Eye was a northern corn snake anyways. So no biggie there, no, did that, I don't know what the clutch size was, a normal size clutch of eggs. Eventually all of them but one dies back.
Yeah.
Neither animal, as far as I know, was scaleless for anything.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the last snake out was this scaleless mutant. And it all stemmed from there. It's like, all right. And I think I know the guy who did it. I think he's still around, so I should talk to him, but I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I don't know how to approach it that way. But I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that's how it happened? And I thought they're basing the law basically on hearsay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I was saying, I'd love to work with black rats. I'd love to work with bull snakes, but I'm not going to because I don't want to deal with the permit system, and I don't want my government coming in my snake room. What do you got? What do you got?
You got black rats? Oh, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a felony.
I just looked up vouchers on Emery Eye in Illinois, and it looks like it was before 1980.
Oh, yeah.
One was vouchered in Illinois.
Yeah, you're talking about, we're the extreme eastern boundary of it.
There's a pocket.
And at one time,
isn't it like a tiny little section right above the border?
It's like a corner of a.
I got that right there.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I had to look it up. I did never heard of them getting that far north.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it just drives me insane. And then I think about it, and it's like you already alluded to it too. I've never seen a scaleless Emery Eye.
Nobody has.
No one has ever heard of it.
The
scaleless Texas rats.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first scaleless Emery Eye was bred immediately into corn snakes. The first one, it was immediately recognized as it bred to a corn snake. That's the best knowledge I have of it, at least.
Yeah, right. But it's like to make a law on that, especially for.
Well, that and how many people up there already have scaleless?
Oh,
like, and how many people are actually going to go get permits for that? Like, really?
Yeah, but he was showing me everyone, all my breeder friends and stuff were all, what's the deal? What's the deal? And they showed me the email that the state herpetologist sent out. Yeah, and it's like, you're going to need permits.
Send them an email saying, "Hey, asshole,
for what?"
Yeah.
How about this? You find me in Illinois, Emery Eye, and I will get you my permit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Find me a scaleless one. I'll give you $1 million too.
Yeah. No. Jeez, what a
just goofy.
What an oddity. Yeah.
Now I heard I ain't gonna even mention his name, but I heard that's how he is. So I've got a lot of biologist friends who know him.
Yeah.
Stuff. He's like, he's a good guy. He gets this power trip thing going because he's the state biologist.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Apparently, we have some younger dude that's the state herpetologist now, and he's kind of in a similar vein. Just like, I don't think he actually really keeps much. I don't think he's ever kept much, but he went to school for it, so therefore he's somehow, in a higher tier than people that actually know what's going on. Like, I don't know. It's
funny. There's always been a riff between hobbyists and academics forever. I was even at the last show I did. We didn't have enough stuff to have a whole table to ourselves. We teamed up with a friend of mine who's a zookeeper at our local zoo here. And I was like, I wanted to talk to him about the Lasiac stuff. And if them guys are all on board, and he's like, the zoo guys don't even know anything about it.
No.
They care less. In fact, they hate us.
Yeah.
And it's like, still? It's still like that? It's insane.
Which it's odd too, because when you think about the times that the private sector and the academic side of things have teamed up and done stuff together, like I don't think there's ever been a disastrous end or anything that like was detrimental to anything that came out of that.
Yeah.
Like every time, like there was some sort of ground, advanced and like things were learned and like it benefited everybody. So I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, the Lacey Act, 1984, right? Something like that.
Right.
Created so many problems they didn't realize then. But once a law is in place, getting it changed at all is literally an act of Congress. And it's wild. The American hobby and obviously the American zoo system would love to have Lampropeltis webi. You're talking about the rarest of the Mexicana species. It's proven where they're from. They're from a contested cartel area where you literally can't go collect them unless you're with the military, pretty much. And they've been found. They've been collected. And okay, well, why don't we get a couple of those in the Fort Worth Zoo and start propagating them? And then you think
like
about
they
the
did with
hobbyists.
Mexican bears.
Yeah, Mexican bears. Jani, Depi. All these animals were coming over in droves at one point. We've established them in the hobby. Yeah, we're not asking for those animals, but what about the things that? Okay, can we get some kind of litigation done to where they can come into zoos and we get some fresh
just a
blood?
handful, 20, 40 animals tops. Yeah. If they could even come up with that many in the first place, but just good founding stock.
Or live in Georgia and not being able to have a corn snake, right?
Dude, that's
you can have as many copperheads as you want, though.
Yeah, which is so weird. And in my city specifically, so I live in Nueces County, which is a great county, and I'm very happy with my county. My city has a bunch of interesting laws. One of the laws we have is we cannot have boids. No boas, no pythons, no varanids. Yet in the state of Texas, I can have whatever I want. Right? Texas says I can have tigers, right? But now we're in this position where in my city I can't have boas and pythons. Now it's not that I want boas and pythons, and
it's frustrating though.
Such a frustrating thing.
You just talk about how awesome Bredls are, and you can't even own one.
Right. I mean, I'd probably have
rub it in your face at this point.
I'd have a token chondro. Chondros or rough scales would be my pythons, but I don't know. Yo, I got lychees, right? Like, it's the same thing. Is a lychee different from a chondro? I mean, tell me the truth. Right? It's a big old turd that sits on a stick, right?
Yeah, I mean, in that aspect, yes, you're right. I agree.
Yeah, there's cities here the same way too. Like every other place where I live, there's like 10, 12 cities all packed together. Anyways, the city of Moline, Illinois. Yeah, no boids, no constricting snakes. No constricting boids.
Yeah.
So no ball pythons.
Hog noses. Yeah, that means you can have hog noses. I think that's about it.
No. Well, they're all right with they're all right with your big constrictor or your. You can have an indigo, or not that they constrict, but you could have an indigo. You could have a big bull snake. They don't care. But no Sonoran mountain boas. No ball python, no children's pythons.
No children's pythons.
Boa or python on the title, you can't have. Are you kidding me?
My city went as far as on the venomous scale, no venomous, but they even have a list of rear fanged that you cannot have.
Illinois, same way. Seems to be the norm with a lot of places, though. Like Boiga almost always end up on that list.
Boiga's on the list, yeah.
Which is just, I think they see that and then they see brown tree snakes and they're like, oh yeah, those are no go. Those are I don't want
legit. I think the brown tree snakes probably be fine here in Corpus. So probably a bad idea to have them here. They'd probably survive just fine.
That's Boiga for the most part, though. In general, like those are they're not nearly as delicate as people I think used to think they are. Like I've kept my Cyanea almost every which way you could think of besides like as a desert snake. They don't care. Heat, no heat, doesn't matter. Like humidity, no humidity, they don't care. Like it's no surprise that they're everywhere, where they're native to, because they're just they're hardy.
We as hobbyists need to work around, and this is in very many hobbies. I've got other hobbies. I raced cars for a long time, and
Warhammer.
hobbyists, we need to work Warhammer's the one thing I don't have to work around laws, but but as a car enthusiast, there's laws you got to work around, and I understand, and I'm not a lawbreaker, right? I try my hardest to not do
Right.
that. Depending on the hobby you're in, and a lot of hobbies are under fire right now due to state and country litigation. Obviously,
Absolutely,
reptiles are on the hot plate in a lot of states. This can go we could take this into a lot of political things even.
Oh yeah.
But it's us as hobbyists that need to help put pressure on these congressmen, on these state officials, to try to damper their restrictions. Some restrictions I totally understand, and this goes across hobbies. But to some extent, as you start giving them little bits of leeway, it can only go further, right?
Right.
And especially as reptile hobbyists, like, you're really worried about ball pythons in Illinois, right? Like, come on. I'm not saying
that's someone putting the bugger in the ear to the fear mongering kind of aspect of it. Like, we all know that there's not a chance in hell a ball python's going to survive.
Yeah.
In the winter up there.
No. A ball python barely
I'd bet my
survives
house.
in the fucking tub
Right.
you have it in.
Yeah.
But someone somewhere told them, be it someone that had some sort of agenda or something, be it animal rights bullshit or something else, that made these politicians go, yep, this is a public issue. This is the lowest hanging fruit. I know if I push this through, I'll look like a hero. It's going to be super easy to pass. I'm not going to get any opposition because nobody likes snakes. Like,
see, it's scary because we've already banned. Like I said, my wife works at a pet and garden center. They've already banned no dog and kitten sales.
Yeah. But you go on
like
Craigslist
at stores.
Right.
Yeah.
Can a private breeder sell? They've got to be able to.
They can buy from a rescue.
Okay. So what if I have my Boston Terriers and they breed?
No, because like the store that what they're getting, what they're thinking they're doing is going to stop. I hate this term, but puppy mills.
Puppy mills.
Right. Because the only vision when you see a puppy mill is this dilapidated.
Sarah
only
McLachlan,
the worst examples,
PCA,
right.
Yeah.
We only see the worst example.
We have dog breeder friends with multiple species who got a $200,000 Morton building.
They're probably living better than I am.
Oh, dude, they are. They got a couch, they got a TV, they got a radio.
Yeah.
There's actually like
there's
a dog sitting place here that legit has TVs in all the stalls for the
right.
Oh my god!
Like the store, like the store my wife worked in, they took all the local breeders. My cousin has a pair of huskies. He breeds every other year.
Yeah,
that's who sold at the store. Everyone has feral cats, having kittens. They'd gather them up. That's where they went. They can't do it now.
So weird. Yeah,
because it's the big Petland stores were always buying from the notorious. Was that Hagen? I think I forget the name of the.
Mm-hmm.
There's some giant puppy mills that they're just cranking stuff out.
Yeah,
and it's like, so be it. Even that, you're quit buying the dogs if you want to stop the problem.
Or why don't, instead of they putting blanket legislation on these things, why don't they hammer down on those particular groups? Right? It's almost, gosh, I don't want to get into this, but there's legislation that
back to snakes.
But it's like, why don't you put pressure on the sale of these animals? Why don't you put the responsibility of the sale of these animals and these items and these hobby items? Why don't you take that pressure and put it on the people selling them to make sure that where their stock, where their inventory is coming from? Yeah,
right.
Now you're responsible for who you're selling to and where you're buying from, right? Instead of putting blanket legislation that hurts the hobbyist, that hurts the regular Joe that has one clutch. I don't know if they're called clutches, but one clutch of golden litter. Oh, one litter of golden retrievers every 2 years.
Clutch of golden retriever.
And now they can't. Now they can't take those to the local pet store that is a brick and mortar that is trying their hardest to make it, especially post COVID, where every brick and mortar suffered, every single one of them. And it's that same legislation goes into snakes.
That's the other messed up part of it is you hear like all these cities and stuff saying shop local. It's like, okay, well, these are businesses trying to support each other, but because it's not a business you like,
Yeah, because they
Right.
forgot to donate to the right charity. Now, you're in the hot seat. Next time they come knocking, are you going to do that? Now we're into 1700s taxpayers coming around and knocking on your door. You going to pay the taxes, or are we going to take your house out? Maybe we're going to shut your farm down. And anyways, that's
where do you stand on palmettos?
Yeah, palmettos.
Well, no, I got them.
Do you?
I'm one of the last ones to get into it. I think I picked up a female a couple years ago. When they first came out, I liked them and stuff, and then it's like, of course, there were like tons and tons of money back then. So I was like, well, I'm going to wait that one out. And I like them. No, they're awesome. The more speckles you can get on, the better.
Yeah, a little bit more pattern on them.
Yeah. And it's funny though. Everyone's trying to get different morphs into it and stuff. I kind of laugh. I'm like, well, all right. Now
Have you seen the regular one?
Yeah, I was like, you got a white snake.
You're going to make it more white?
A few extra kind of black petals or scales on it.
Yeah,
it's not a whole lot, but yeah, I like them. Although there is, I don't know, someone posted a real cool looking caramel one, and it was
I bet, yeah.
It was, and there was a lot of pattern on. The more pattern you can get on that, I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
The little girl I like her a lot. She got a split face down the middle and stuff too. But
there's for me, there's a little bit of an inherited, the bug eye that happens with leucistics, that happens with leucistics across the board. It's also the responsibility of the breeder to not sell those animals, right? You don't have to worry about those morphs.
I think a lot of them got bug eyes because the breeder was wanting.
Yeah.
One of the first ones wanted to get as many out as possible.
Yep.
So instead of outcrossing it, and I don't know. The one I got, who did I get it from? Big Squeeze. I forget who that is. It's really nice looking animal.
Nice.
No bug eyes and stuff. And I picked up. Actually, now I got a het that I traded for another female, and then I got a male anery. Het palmetto, het AML.
Nice.
He'll be my boy. Yeah, all different all different breeders.
Yeah,
so
we'll
see.
Spread it out. Yeah,
right.
And so, I guess we're gonna be wrapping up soon. You said you were 22 species or something like that. What other species? Just you don't have to go into depth on it, but what other species you planning on producing this year?
This year, I'm down to one line pine egg.
Damn.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you produce Lineata Gallas, I know a guy.
Oh, I had two females. One took. One laid 12 eggs total. Only 2 good eggs. The rest were slugs, and one croaked off on me. But the other one's still going good. Got San Diego Gophers. I got Arizona Mountains this year. Well, I got 3 clutches of those. Cal Kings. Corns, African house snakes, poultures, Laticinctus. And I'm still.
How have I never seen those before?
Which ones?
The Lineata Colis.
Well, I've got them on there.
That's crazy. I'm looking at them on Google right now, dude. That's a suboc as a pine snake.
It's a big ass suboc. It's a big suboc.
Like if you took a suboc and you crossed it with an ocelot carpet.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And
then I'm still in the mix for some cockeye. Those are my nemesis.
Yeah.
2 years running, she's given me 2 females, giving me nothing but slugs. This year, started producing eggs. Lost the first clutch, lost the second clutch. I got a second clutch from another female, and I think I got 3 of those. Trying to think.
As cool as you keep those,
I got to step aside for 1 second, guys.
Just got to incubate them in the refrigerator.
Give me 1 second, guys.
What was that, Justin?
I said, as cool as you have to keep those things, I wonder if you just have to incubate them in the refrigerator.
Which ones?
The cockeye and pulker.
I don't have to incubate them at all or cool them at all. Those
I want them, but I cannot keep them here. I can't keep my room cool enough. Like there's aside from my bedroom, there's nowhere to keep them cold enough. Like otherwise they'd be too hot. My room's too warm.
Yeah, I keep ours are in my living room, and it's right now the air conditioner's on 72, and I don't have heat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the only snakes I used to brumate them with my corns and kings, and once a week I'd go in there to change waters and check on everybody. You know, you pop the tops on the corns and the kings and stuff, and you get like a tongue flick. It's just like one of those. The bamboo rats, you pop the top on those, and them things are running out the door on you, flying around. It was like, woohoo! It's party time.
Yeah, they're awesome. Like I said, I've always wanted some, but they don't drive with my setup. So
that's why I tell everybody who is interested in them, like they like it cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can keep them below 75, great.
Yeah. And my wife is cool with me keeping stuff in our bedroom, but it's usually just for quarantine because she knows it's temporary. But like that's the only place I could really keep mine because that's the coldest room in the house. So I don't know. Yeah, I've also heard that you don't see them very often. Like they're not really a snake that's out and about much.
Yeah, you don't. They're different too. Everyone always asks about their temperament, and I'm like,
spazzy.
Well, yeah, they're kind of like a unpredictable Cal King.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a Cal King, you know, you're gonna, it's like, all right, you're gonna get bit. These guys here, they'll come out and you're fine, chilled, and everything, and then all of a sudden, they're on you.
Oh wait, I'm being held.
What species was that?
Bamboo rats.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Do you see a lot of? Obviously, there's differences between corns and a lot of these species, but you're able to kind of hold your care regiment similar across the board.
Yeah. Each, I think about that all the time. I don't know how I do it, but I do it.
No, I'm
got a little bit more heat on these guys and less on these.
That's about the similarity with me. Some get a little bit more humidity, some are a little bit further away, and it's,
I try to actually offer humidity boxes for pretty much everything I've got.
Yeah. I've been doing that with a lot of my stuff now, and
give them the option.
Yeah, they use the hell out of it though, like corns, beards, the rhinos. I haven't given one to either of the pits, but I have no doubt they'd actually.
My pits like them too, though.
Yeah, I know Jake gives his pits some, and they like them, but they also destroy them because the moss gets all dried out, and they just pop the lid off. He's got these 6-quart shoe boxes and these massive southern pines, and he's like, you open the tub and there's just like moss everywhere, and the lid's off, and he's like, dude, I don't even bother trying to put it back. He's like, they just pop it right back off, but they hang out in there anyways, so whatever.
Yeah, my pine snakes, when they laid eggs, I put all the big tub inside of their tub, and I filled it up with the sphagnum moss. I was like, oh, this is so pretty. Go in there, lay your eggs, and then they sit in there for. They shed and they sit in there for a week, and it's like, all right, it's time for those eggs. And then they start cruising and losing their mind, and then come back, the lid's off the box, the sphagnum moss ever, the eggs are just sitting on bare plastic, and you're like, all right, this is what we're doing.
It works.
It's worked so far, yeah.
Yeah. Usually with my pits and stuff, I just fill it with moss.
Mm-hmm.
Your box is your nest box.
Yeah. That's
that's what I've just started doing with all the adult corns, man. Like, it's a human hide and it's a lay box. They just get it year round. So
my big bulls last year, I just did the back half of their tub and that cocoa pieces. I don't know, and they just kept the back half on the heat, humid, and lay your eggs, and then they still push it all out of the way and lay it out on the plastic, and whatever.
They're destructive, man.
They're very destructive. They're so
that little my small southern pine, dude. I'm like constantly having to push all their substrate back to the front of the tub because she just pushes it all to the rear. I'm like, Jesus.
Those are the
time and space. I would like to take like a big 4-foot by 4-foot or 2-foot by 2-foot enclosure, and like I don't know, put 6 inches of sand in there and let them go to it, and just sand peat mix and let them dig and see what happens. See what they do.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. Pitch officer, they're one of those snakes that, like, man, they do so well in captivity. They do so good at, a lot of them are relatively easy to breed. They're all great feeders, as long as they don't see you. If they can see you, they just don't do good. And it's, it's one of those things, like, these are the species that need to be kept in tubs. I don't care what your argument is. But
hey, here's what when I wasn't breeding, one of the enclosures I had was a custom I built, and it was based on the old Applegate enclosures where you got a tub or a subspace.
Sublayer, yeah.
I had it was a 4-foot cage, and it had enough space for a 41 quart underneath there. It was 4 foot by 20 by 2 foot, and I had 2 San Diegos in there, and they had the whole top half was all decked out, but they could get down underneath there. Rarely did I see those snakes.
Yeah.
In the morning, they'd come out,
Yeah.
stick their head out, go over and get a drink of water.
Yep.
They're gone the rest of the time.
Yeah. They're very, very seclusive. They're very
Yeah.
just, leave me alone. We're okay.
I've got an empty 3-footer that I keep saying I want to put that Southern in, but Jay keeps saying, he's like, dude, don't do it because it's only going to cause problems. Like, she's just going to go downhill as soon as you. So I'm like, okay, because
With
she's
me,
growing fast.
with the pits, I never did it with the pines, but definitely with bulls and some of the gophers, if they can see you, they just, as long as it's enough hiding spots, something about them seeing you. And Eric, you had said it earlier, the eye contact with the Lineata, it makes perfect sense. They're the most visual snakes I have.
Yes.
And you can open up that tub and they're fine. They're in their hide box forever. You move the hide box. The second they see you, that's when you're getting some kind of a response from them. It's.
See, and I agree with that now too. After recently hanging out at Jake's place more and seeing his bulls in comparison to his pines, like his pines really don't seem to care. Like I can go in there and like pet them, and they're like, man,
the
like,
pines
they might
maybe.
piss a little bit, but the bulls, those guys, like, they ain't about it at all.
Bulls,
those forks he's got are, especially
those,
the female. Oh my god! Like I posted that video of her the other day, losing her mind just because we opened the tub.
The only species of Pitchophis that I wrote off, and I sent mine to Casey Cannon, is Sonoran gophers. I don't know what it is, but God, those animals hate me. They just
He's got a weird
me.
fetish for angry animals, though, because he likes the ringed pythons too. At least for a little while. I don't think he's pretty much said fuck those things at this point. But
there's something about Sonoran gophers. I find them in a wild. I found one this year on Black Gap, and it was postured up and doing the hiss and doing the fake strike. And I go to pick it up, and it bites my leg. Of course, I'm bleeding all over the place. But I reach over and pick it up, and you're talking about the biggest puppy dog ever. I mean, it just didn't. It's just chilling. It's kind of doing its thing. I got some awesome pictures of it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm with John Lasseter, and he's just laughing his ass off. I told you that snake was gonna bite you, and I'm bleeding all down my calf. And the Sonoran gophers, they don't do that fake strike thing that all the other Pitchophis do. They bite.
I mean, Jake's forks, man, they don't. There's no fake biting at all there. Like when they're going for you, they're doing it with purpose.
Yeah, I think my line pines, they're not afraid.
I've heard line pines will bite.
But I have also. Go ahead.
Oh, I had one get out. We were at a show and I came back and opened the snake room door and everything's knocked off the shelf. So it's like, okay, someone's out. So before I put all these babies away, I'm gonna have to go looking around. I looked underneath one of the shelves and she was there. And as soon as she saw me, she nailed me and caught me right in the foot. I mean, right straight right there. It's like, oh man,
that's a big snake.
It seems funny though that with pits in particular, it's like they're all, all bark and some bite, but it's like as soon as you pick them up, they're like, oh, I've been defeated.
Right.
It's like I don't think Lineata Collis do
okay,
that.
you won. Like
they don't know. Santa Cruz, I was telling you about, those guys don't either. That Steve France, he told me when I got him, he's like, you've never had a snake. He goes, unless you had some real spastic garters in the past, it would be nothing like these.
Yeah.
And they are.
They're so little, which is so
that makes sense.
Whipping back and forth, trying to go that way.
Talking about an insular snake that's smaller and probably more high strung because they are smaller.
Right,
it makes sense.
Yep.
I have got to get some of those when you produce them. I've got to. Those things are so neat. That's so cool.
They're cool. I really like them. I'd really like to get mine into. I could probably put them in like a 10-gallon aquarium or something. I'd like to get them into. Yeah, I'd like to get them into a naturalistic enclosure and watch them stuff.
Really we didn't hit on it, and I don't think we have a ton of time left. What's your typical keeping setup? What is your? If I go
I'm all over. I'm all over. I mean, most everything's in tubs, and I'm super old school. What was it? 2 years ago, I finally got a rack. I got a hatchling rack. It was Vivarium Basics, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it. I'm like, I can't keep the thing clean. It's like, it's impossible. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of my stock. All my hatchlings are in entree containers. And I just stack them up. in my snake room. Like I said, my snake room stays 77 to 84 every day, so I don't even have heat on them.
Mm-hmm.
The racks I build are just 2x4s. If I've got heat on the back against the wall, really is that on, and I still use lids. I always get heat for that too. You got lids? Yeah, I keep the lids
If
on.
it
there.
works, it works.
No, it actually makes sense.
I don't
It's
know,
probably
Eric.
something I should be doing more often.
Eric, I've heard some of your stories. Are you keeping the lids on?
No. You still have to strap the lids down.
Dude, that Wild Rose Pass Subhawk, that female, if I don't put the handle of that tub in the gap, her name is Bridget, because you ever see A Million Ways to Die in the West? He has that one sheep that always gets out, and he named it Bridget, and that's what I named her, because like I'll walk in my room and she'll just be chilling on my hatchling rack, lit at me like, "Oh, you're gonna put me back now? Okay."
Subbucks are entirely too smart. I don't know what it is. They're just
and
the dumbest looking animal on the planet.
I've had 2 corns that were like that. Both those corns met their demise with that same exhaust fan.
Trying to get
body
out.
count. Jesus.
Right, but I had one. I named him Magellan because he was a holdback, and I had him in the house. And I don't know, my garage is probably 70 feet away in a whole totally different building. He got out like 3 times in the house. Found him. Then he got out one time, and he was gone for 2 weeks. And in the garage, before I had my second snake room in there, off to the side of the original one is where I had my rodents at. And then I had an exhaust fan that was blowing out the window there. But the rodents were down below there. Middle of summer, like I still kept my rodents out there. So I'd always get some dead ones from the heat and whatnot.
Yeah.
Old females or whatnot. So I went out there one day and I could smell. I was like, oh, dang it. I just cleaned them yesterday. Everyone should have been all right. I go over there and there's like 6 dead mice in there. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And here this 1.5-year-old got out, it's corn snake, got out of the house. He's so small, he crawled through the top of the 1/2-inch mesh, the top of the rodent cage. It was in there just killing mice.
Yep.
Just strangling them.
I've had yellow rats get into my grow out bin in my shed with my mice in it, and they usually eat 2, and then there's always one that's dead, like they grabbed it and wrapped it, and then just never ate.
Yeah, there were 6 of them like that. And like I said, he made it out of the house and into the garage.
Crazy.
Well, then he stayed in the garage and the snake room out there, and eventually he got out 2 more times there, and the next time he got it in the fan.
The wrong spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah, that's
Sounds like a
Subhawk,
cool
man.
sight.
I just half the time now when I go in and I see her hanging out on that rack, I just let her hang out while I do whatever I'm doing, because it's like you've gone this far, might as well just like, you ain't going anywhere. They're not fast snakes.
Oh yeah,
Like just hang out. She just looks at me. It's hilarious.
yeah.
She's
I actually had a corn with a stuck slug here last week, and I tried to get her outside. I like if they get a stuck egg or something in there, I like to get them out and get them moving.
Yeah.
Move,
put them in the
crawl,
yard.
Go. You know, I used to put them. I still do if it's too cold out or something like that. I'll put just a lot of clutter or something in there. Usually water bowls all turned upside down, so they got to crawl over and do all this stuff. But here last week, she still had an egg stuck in there, and it was down low. So I was like, "You're too big to get out of the snake room. It's only the hatchlings and young ones that can make it out of there." So it was onto the floor you go. You can have the run of the place for the day.
Go wild. Yeah.
Yep, go ahead. And she got it out.
Nice.
Yep.
That's always good when you see them pushed out to some extent naturally, right? Like it's
right.
Well, you got to wonder if that's what they would like. That's what happens naturally, like in the wild.
Oh, yeah.
If they end up getting some, they're not confined to a 32 cord or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
What size tub do you use for adult corns?
Majority of them are in 28s.
Nice.
But I've got like about 3 this year that need 41s.
Ooh.
That one. I've got that one big female I said that didn't get inseminated or something happened, and I fed her. She's huge. She made it into a 41 just to give her some, like, get moving. You got to do something.
Yeah. What do you got your lineaticalis in?
I've got one
quart.
and
6 quarts. Squished in. Just
they would like it. I think they would like it.
They'd love it, I'm sure.
I've heard
fact,
they
the
cram
one,
themselves in. Yeah.
I use oil pans for hide boxes with all of them, and rarely are they out of it. You know, and the oil pans, what, 12 inches maybe?
Yeah.
A little bit bigger, and they're rarely out of it. But I've got one female's in a big AP cage.
Oh, okay.
And then the other two are in, what are those, 75 quart
big
Christmas boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big snakes, man. That's a big animal.
Yeah. And that's what I remember when I got them. I was like, I might need something bigger. And everyone's like, no, there's like any other pit. They're going to find some place to hide and you ain't going to see them.
Yeah. My northern pines are big. And to be honest, like they need to be in bigger tubs. I've got mine in V70s. Which they're not as big as they could be. My pits, they're going to get bigger, right? They're just 4 years old. They keep growing. But God, if they don't have this like tiny little high box that they love and they just curl up in it and just eat up every little, and every single time I open the tub, that's where they're at. Unless it's about feeding time, and then they're out hunting around and looking and flipping over their water bowl and shitting on the ceiling and smearing all over the place because that's what Pitiophis love to do.
It's how they know they can come out and explore because they're like, he's got to come clean me now, which means it's like
have to clean.
They do the same thing in prison, I'm sure.
Yeah,
like, this is how I get some more rec time if I just shit all over the walls and then they have to come clean it.
The amount of time I spend cleaning all of my corn snakes, all of them, which is I don't know, 10 adults, something like that, 12 adults, is maybe the amount of time I spend 2 pairs of Pitiophis. Yeah. Maybe, right? Like it's every time it's a quarter of the cage or a quarter of the tub being cleaned out. Every time it's smeared all over the place.
They can't find one place and go either. It's like, let's get some here and get some there.
They're claiming it as their own.
Over here too.
Yeah. And then the urine and the stuff that goes with it. It's like I fed you a small rat, right? Like I fed you a small rat. Like calm down. I didn't need the whole rat on day 2. It's always day 2. Feed them on Sunday. I'm cleaning on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
Every single time. But gotta love them. It's get me excited even thinking about them. It's got the Pitiophis shirt. Hey, hit up your boy Justin Smith at Palmetto Coast Exotics for a Pitiophis shirt. I can't really see it. Oh, where am I? I don't know how cameras work. Hey.
But yeah, I keep them. I've got some naturalistic enclosures. All across the board.
Do you ever prefer bedding with your tubs?
Depends on what it is. I use.
I don't. Any of my colubrids at this point, I don't put them on paper, especially the Bairds, because they flip that water bowl like immediately. But if I give them particulate, no issues. Like I don't have any problems with them flipping water bowls. But if I put them on puppy pads or I put them on paper towel, they flood it, and then they just sit in it, and they don't.
I like to use. About the only time I use paper is in the spring. If I got one of the males that I want to check on, usually there's something sperm sitting someplace. I get it back.
Something obvious.
And then just keep stuff clean. I've had a male in the past get all kinds of pine stuck on his junk.
Oh,
to get it back. And so I was like, all right, in the spring I'm gonna just use paper. But I use
happens to the best of us.
Oh yeah. Pine's probably most of my colubrids are on pine. Bamboo rats.
And that's interesting too, because Montross mentioned when he did a water snake article for the magazine when we were doing that he used pine. And I remember I messaged him when I was reading over it before I put it into like layout and stuff. And I was like, did you mean to put pine or did you mean to put aspen? He's like, no, I use pine. And it's like, we've always heard pine is like a big no-no. But he's like, dude, I've been using it for like 10 plus years and I haven't had a single issue with it.
Yeah, I've used it.
I've never been brave enough to use it. I use it for mice. But you've never had any problems with it or anything like that? No. I think it's I wondered if it's just a matter of like if it gets wet and like if it's not properly like kiln dried or like what the whole stereotype of
everyone's saying kiln dried now. Years ago, I don't even know if it was kiln dry. I used pine.
Yeah.
I don't even remember aspen coming on the scene until the late 90s.
Yeah.
You know,
I
as
would
far as-
love to be able to go to Tractor Supply and buy the giant brick of pine that we
Oh,
use
yeah.
for mice and use it for snakes instead of paying twice as much, if not more, for the
Right.
half a bag of aspen.
Yeah. Well, you got to get on Amazon and get that Aspen #1, $47 delivered for the big bag, and Amazon will deliver it. I used pine, so I got it. My first snake I got in 2003. 2003. I used only pine because cedar
Right.
was the big no-no. You don't use cedar.
Yeah,
shingles,
I
Right.
definitely don't use cedar. I don't even use cedar for mice. I'm not even using cedar.
Yeah, I used cedar for years, and then once I left and was really just geckos for the most part, and then came back and was heavy back into colubrids. Everybody's like aspen. So I started buying that big bag,
Mhm.
the Aspen #1 bag, right? The same one you see at shows, and now Amazon ships it directly to your house. Oh my god, I don't know how they ship that thing for free, but I don't remember ever having an issue with pine. I mean,
I'll get some batches. Stuff I'm using now is called Eco Flake.
Mhm.
And then there's another brand that's at the farm store that I get it from. And I used to get that one because it's like, I don't know, $1, $2 cheaper. But a lot of it was really dusty. There's a lot of dust in there. And that I'm trying to get away from. I don't like that. But
See, and
that
that's
Eco
why
Flake,
I've gotten picky about the aspen, because it's like I either get the large flake stuff, which has not a whole lot of dust, but it's a pain in the ass because it's large flake, or I get the finer stuff and it's freaking dust everywhere.
right?
yeah,
You know.
Which I don't know if that would really hurt them or not. I used to work.
Yeah, it's just a personal thing, you know. It's
I
just
used
I
to
don't
work in
like
a-
it.
Yeah. I end up, if it's really dusty, I get more dust all over my snake room
Mhm.
just from, you know. But it's funny talking about the dust. I used to work when I lived in Kansas. I worked at a feed mill, and it was this dust covered in everywhere. You'd see snake marks all over the place, all over the place. The basement, before my uncles and stuff bought it, whoever owned it before them just let the belt would overspill and that bottom filled up the basement with old grain and stuff. That's the first thing we had to do when we went in there, was dig out like 4 feet of bad,
Wow.
moldy, nasty grain. But there's snake marks going all over that. That was dusty as all get out in that place. You know, it didn't bother. It was all black rat snakes. They were all over that place. Yeah.
yeah. For me with my allergies, I don't know what it is. I
Right.
get the worst, the least bad reaction out of aspen. But I've still got to wear. I mean, you ever see pictures on most of my stuff? I'm wearing gloves. I got to wear gloves. I got to sometimes wear a respirator if I'm really doing a bunch of tubs. And in fact, I got one of my nephews comes over and will wash out and dump all the aspen into my tubs. I'll pay him $20 or whatever. And it's something I got to deal with because I can't get rid of these snakes and geckos and stuff. Man, I love these things.
Right.
I love them. It's passion.
But
forever.
yeah, I use that Eco Flake. I use a lot of the I use Reptichip. Real good friends of mine are reps here.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of that, like, especially for my I got those with a lot of my Asian rat snakes.
Yeah.
Put that in there. Bamboo rats, they love that stuff. I give them a little extra. They dig down in there and whatnot. Got my diamond.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I got my diamond pythons on that then too.
Oh, yeah, diamond pythons. I'm sure people would love to hear about those.
Oh yeah, I love that. That was
It's
30
a
years in the
badass
making.
animal.
Yeah.
Remember 90. So I got real heavy into reptiles like 98. So 2000, 2003, diamond pythons were kind of just getting figured out.
Right.
And they weren't that expensive. They were expensive, but they weren't that bad. They were $300 to $500 if I remember correctly.
Right.
And I don't think they're that anymore.
No.
I don't even know what they are anymore.
What did I pay for those?
They're expensive.
I want to say it was 16 for the pair.
Yeah.
1600.
Sounds about right.
And I got them from what's his name? Todd at Psychotics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And you have a good
And it was
look.
funny. That was at the Schaumburg show last year, the year before. And I knew they were going to be there. And so they were on the radar, but I was like, I didn't know if I wanted to spend that money and stuff. So we went back, saw them. And there was another guy standing there. He was looking at him too. And you know how you do it shows. It's like, all right, well, let's see what's around. We got to peruse first. So around we went. We come back. And one of the pairs was gone. I'm like, So now there's 3 pairs. And one of the animals that I was really wanting was gone, that first one. And that guy who had left, he was back too.
Yeah.
So we went another round, came back again. Now another pair was gone. Now there's down to 2 pair. And I'm like, and that guy's standing there and he whips out his credit card. And I'm like, oh, crap.
Damn it.
You have
just
to.
get him. Just get him. Just do it.
But, you love them? You have
Get it over with.
Dude, I love them things.
They're
Absolutely
gorgeous.
love them. And I mean, back in the day, no one could keep them alive.
Mhm.
They were either
Exactly. Too hot.
Getting them too hot.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody I treat mine like I do a colubrid.
Yeah.
They are in the house. The air conditioner is set at 72. I got a fluorescent light that comes on in the morning. That's on that temperature, and there's 72 to 74 for nighttime. Then a spotlight comes on over on one side. That'll stay on for about 2 hours, and then it shuts off for 2 hours, and then comes on for 2 hours, and then it'll shut off, and then it'll come on for another 2 hours. And then when it shuts off at night, at the end of the night, that's it. No heat.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. I feed them maybe once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're cool. They're absolutely cool. And they know when that spotlight comes on. Well, they know when the first light comes on. They'll come out from wherever they're hiding, just kind of check stuff out. And then by the time that spotlight's going to come on, they're all cruising over to where that thing's at. As soon as that comes on, bam, it's on. They get heated up, and then they're going. Yeah.
I love it.
It's awesome.
They are awesome.
I love hearing somebody so ingrained in this hobby and working with colubrids and going full time. You're a hobbyist, man. You're a hobbyist first, and I could tell it in the way you're talking about these animals. That's so awesome to see. Something to look forward to. Something to think about. It's
those Japanese rat snakes I got too. Them things, I love them the same way. They're just man.
I don't think I know anybody that's ever had Japanese rats that was like, these things aren't any fun. They're not. Everyone I know that has them loves them. Like hardcore.
I sent my female to JT. He's had a little trouble breeding them. I think he's gonna iron that out. I know he got locks this year, but dude, that's such a. Geez, don't get it hot, and it's a bulletproof animal. They eat off. I remember I got mine. It ate off the rib.
Asian bears.
They're Asian bears. They are. Some of these Asian species, it's like just keep your collection cooler in general, and I think you're going to see more success just across the board.
Bingo.
I've worked with Coleonyx for 15 years. I've had Coleonyx geckos forever, and this year I got a bunch of wild caught stock of Coleonyx brevis. It's one of my pet projects. And I have a group that I decided this year to keep cooler. I've always kept them at around 86, 88, sometimes up to 90. Always kept them warmer. And this year I kept them cooler. You don't see a lot of babies surviving at that temperature. And dude, I'm keeping them at 78 to 84. 84 is the absolute hottest that rack will ever get. And boom, I've got my females gravid. Everything is just absolutely excelling. And I'm like, wow, just.
It's because they're not operating at those higher temperatures, man. They're operating at night when it's cooler.
Yeah, and going to West Texas and having a brand new vehicle lose AC because it's 110 actual degrees outside. Hashtag shout out to anybody that keeps Jeeps. I had a Jeep for 3 months and sold it. It was brand new. But yeah, the AC went out when I was in West Texas, 110 degrees. We're not going to get in the cars, but whoo, don't talk to me about new cars. Back in a Toyota where I need to be. Dude, it's 110 degrees during the day. And I swear to you, it was 110 degrees. And that night, nothing was moving because it was 54. 54. Right. And we found a couple snakes the night before, and it was 72. Mm-hmm. Right? Like,
that's because that window is so much smaller when you got to swing that large, man.
I've heard of Alterna being found. I've heard about Alterna being found in the low 50s. And it's like, dude, my Alterna don't even have heat, and they're like 78, and they all bred this year.
They do great.
They are as healthy as can be. My Jan I are the same way. I keep my Jan I at 78. Dude,
There's so many species that I firmly believe you can keep comfortably in lower temperatures like that and not have a problem. Like I've done it with so many different species at this point, and none of them have had any issues. Chondros, Boiga. Brettles, but Brettles are the exception because Brettles you could keep in a freezer or you can keep them on the surface of the sun. They're not going to care.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff, man, and everything just seems to do fine. Like, low 80s, you're good. Like no issues.
I
That
genuinely
was one of your
believe it.
guys' questions about, I forget. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's keeping everything too hot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think everyone's feeding too heavy too.
Yeah, if that ain't the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, what's
I
your
mean-
feeding schedule like? We never even got on that.
Feeding,
Like, what are you doing with
females,
babies? What are you doing with adults and breeding?
Babies always get usually up to about 6 months. I'm doing about twice a week, every 5 days
Okay.
probably.
Mhm.
Yeah. There is no. I've got no set schedule. I mean, my females in the springtime are getting, I'll say twice a week, but it's usually something large. And the next one's going to be something small. Maybe a large mouse on, I don't know, Sunday. Friday rolls around the hopper.
Yeah.
And then the next time around, I've been known to give them a handful of fuzzies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I like to feed a lot of different stuff too. I've been getting into a lot of chicks, a lot of quail.
Chicken hearts.
Dude, frog
I've
legs.
Chicken hearts.
I did frog legs.
I
I
have a couple
frog
like,
legs.
absinthe. That Ghost Tessera goes ham on some frog legs. Dude.
Really?
Yep.
Yes. Oh my
I've had
god.
the same. Oh, he's got to go.
Packer's gonna go to work in a half from now or 30 minutes.
Okay. We're wrapping up here soon.
Okay.
But, oh, yeah.
Busted.
Yeah. No, I'm on my kid's computer. He's got to go to work.
But yeah, that varied diet is awesome. I love
Yeah.
chicks, quail.
Right.
Are
Frog
you
legs.
doing anything for females post lay? Anything special? You like?
I have tried dusting with calcium and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I haven't found anything except they don't like it. They get
Smells
down
weird.
to the end. They get down to the end with all that powder, and they're like, looking
But
at
are
us
you
like,
are you hammering those a little heavier after they lay, or you just kind of keeping them
after
on
they
normal
lay?
schedule?
I can get a small meal in them right away, and then
Mhm.
the ones I know are going to go again. Yeah. And with those, I'll try to keep smaller meals, just more frequent.
Mhm.
And then,
I gotcha.
But I like the varied diet: mice, rats, chicks,
spice of life.
quail, eggs. Like
Yeah.
I said, frog leg. We went to the Asian store. I picked up some frog legs. I was like, hey, I'm curious to see who would eat them.
Yeah.
Of course, the Cow Kings. They
God,
They'll
pass
eat
up
anything.
nothing.
Damn. You're damn. Really?
They'd eat the bag they came
Oh
in.
they took I fed my Cow Kings tilapia. Loved
Yeah.
it.
I've been meaning to try that with some of my stuff. I haven't yet. I keep
My-
forgetting to buy some.
My two cow kings that I hate with every single part of my soul. I hate them. They're my disposals. They're the gecko didn't hatch out, or baby geckos don't.
Yeah.
They ate the baby. Snake didn't make it. Here's a snake. The slug. Oh, well, here's your meal. Slug eggs. God, you take slug eggs and put them in a bowl, and the cow kings just double them. Savages. It's like
I've had mixed results with quail eggs with my corns.
I've never tried
I've had
quail
some
eggs.
that'll
Yeah.
take them. I've had some that have zero interest in them. I don't.
Yeah.
It's mostly the wild caught stuff that will take quail
I've
eggs.
only
on
done
occasion.
quail eggs like twice, and everybody took them.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll find a robin egg out, and they'll drop one in midair or whatnot, and they'll eat that one up too.
I love chicks because I can give my big pits like 4 chicks. And
Right.
It's still cheaper than a medium rat because a medium rat costs you slightly part of your kidney.
Right.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yep.
But man, Eric, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
man.
much for coming on, man. It's a great episode. I'm glad
Thanks
to
for having
get
me.
to know you a little
Appreciate
bit. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's it's not a lot of times. And, I'm gonna ask this. It'll be super quick. Going full time. You said it's your first year going full time.
Yep.
You excited? You're nervous? What's the feeling there?
A certain switch has turned on because it's like, all right, this is full time now. There's no backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a
That's
tough
the
year.
only-
This is going to be a tough year
Right.
for all
And
of
this
us.
is a tough year. Like I said, everything's running late. I got the Schaumburg show, which is our first 3-day show we're doing, and I've got nothing. I got surplus animals. I got a handful of bamboo rats and a handful of house snakes.
Yeah.
So I'm like calling I've got a bunch of friends. I'm like, what do you got? I'll take
Anything to put on the table. Yeah.
right. So so everyone comes forward. I got some crested geckos coming. So I have no clue about those, but they're cool looking.
They eat
And some
paste.
odds and ends stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Where
So,
can-
But,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
oh, I
I was
don't
just saying
know.
the future of full time. You know, just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Is there,
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is I can be working till the day I die, anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
might as well be doing what I want to be doing.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It took me 30 years to get here, so yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you have the many things available, where can people see your availabilities?
Yep, on Morph Market. You can follow ECW Reptiles on Facebook, Instagram. I even got on there. It's like finally broke down.
Yeah, you got a pretty good Instagram going. I like it.
Yeah, I
man.
guess. I don't know. I'm not on there a whole lot. I look on there, just like, okay. Just
If someone's going to message you and ask you about future clutches or anything, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
ECW Reptiles or Eric Westmorland on Facebook.
Facebook's
Or
best.
Instagram. Yeah, I'm on there a lot. Messenger. That's about my main thing. I'm just, because I always got my tablet or something there playing music, so it's right there. I always see it.
I messaged you 4 years ago. You didn't respond. No big deal. It's fine.
Uh-oh. You did?
You were selling some adult bamboo rats like 4 years ago, and I was like, "Are these still for sale?"
Adult bamboo rat.
Or maybe
that was me.
I might have messaged the wrong person. It might actually not be you. I'm not a smart person.
I didn't sell any.
It was probably Matt Most.
It's probably Matt Most, right? And I'm just like, I'm just dumb. But hey, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So Facebook Messenger is the best way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
If
We
you're
really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Justin, where can people find you, Justin?
I'm a hard man to get a hold of, you know.
I find that untrue.
Facebook, Instagram, Palmetto Coast Exotics, the Herpeticulture Network, the Herpeticulture Magazine. Instagram is still there, and people can still message that, but I'm not on there really all that much anymore. That's kind of the two main spots. I'm on Instagram more than I'm on Facebook, kind of. I prefer Instagram, so. But either way, I'm responsive.
Yeah. If anybody wants to grab me, Instagram, Badlands Herpeticulture. If you want corn snakes from me specifically, reach out to Justin. So I'm sending him all my corn snakes. I am going to cut back a little bit on what I'm selling. I'll be spending a lot of time giving stuff away because I've gotten to a point in this hobby, kind of especially with my work life and my personal life with my family, where selling is not a thing that I'm exceptionally.
He's just given up.
No, I'm actually going to produce more this year than I ever have, and then next year I've got so much stuff lined up. But I'll be posting my pines and my gophers and some of my king snakes. I'm going to hold back a lot of king snakes this year. I got a few cutters of Alterna, Leonis, the Cali Kings. I don't
send pictures of the Theori, man. Don't.
No. I mean,
Just
I'm keeping them all.
good.
The Leonis are tough this year.
Save me from the
I have one clutch.
temptation.
I think this year's one clutch Leonis. Next year might be like 4 or 5. Oh, Leonis or something.
Forever Theori.
Forever Theori. We can call them whatever you want. Variable Kings. What a species.
They're
they're so good.
I don't know why I got rid of them.
So good. I'll send you some this year. Don't.
Don't.
Alterna. I've got some really neat Alterna in the works.
Those
this year.
my time with Alterna is done. I
No,
like
and I
them
understand
too, but
I'm
yes.
keeping all the shitty feeders, and I'm sending you all the easy feeders. And I plan on keeping and kind of just doling out to friends for the next couple years to sign up. My work has gotten so difficult to be present there, and as well as have an online presence. But if somebody wants to message me on Instagram. I love talking. I probably talk too much, but yeah.
Daddy6969 at hotmail.com.
We're working on the OnlyFans. It's going to be dad bods and snakes. I'm excited. It's going to be something else.
That
we're
thing
going
I
to change the
posted on
hobby.
Facebook the other day, the jorts, dads and jorts erotic calendar or something like that.
My shorts cannot be shorter. That's part of my life, and that's just who I am
He's
now.
rocking them Steve Irwins.
I'm about to be
Right
40,
over
and
the
I
feet.
just I'm about to be 40, and I don't see a point in having anything on my legs past 4 inches. Right? Like, you know what I mean? That's it. That's where we cut it off. But yeah,
Literally.
awesome. Thanks. Stop. It's a lot less than that, Justin.
Right.
I appreciate you, but
This was episode
Awesome.
7 of CornStars, brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com and Silent Hill Reptiles. Check them out at SilentHillReptiles.com as well. We will be back Monday for Snakes and Stogies, episode 160 something. I don't know what it is. I forget because we missed last week because of the 4th of July. So we will be back Monday. Thank you all. Eric, once again, thank you. You're the man.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, man.
Chris.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
You're a
Thanks for
man.
having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Later.
Later.
Best episode ever.
It was a good one. And we're
That
not
was
done
awesome.
yet. I'm trying to get the thing that